Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to the final session of the 2022 British Cycling National Championships from Newport here in South Wales. We are in the Geraint Thomas Velodrome bringing you all the live action as the competitors battle it out for the coveted national bands. This final session 6 will bring you the women's team sprint, the men's keirin, the women's 500 metre time trial, the men's team pursuits, the women's points race and the men's scratch. I'm Brian Smith and joining me for these championships is former competitor Rebecca Charlton. We have Olympic, World, European, former and current national champions. Are you ready for the final session? Well, we are. Sit back and enjoy this afternoon in our company as we bring you the final session of these championships. Rebecca, we've got 6 championships this afternoon. What are you most looking forward to?
Well, it's been ramping up, hasn't it, over the last 3 days, starting off on Thursday with qualification rounds, and we saw many heats, many riders come through to qualify, but actually today we have got the culmination of many exciting finals, and I absolutely can't wait. It's a jam-packed schedule, it really is. We're going to be with you and you will have our company for the next about 4.5 hours, and we're going to see many new national champions crowned.
The first event will be the women's team sprints. We already had a qualifying session earlier today. Team Wales qualified the quickest, 48.755. Team Breeze were in second, 49.077. Team Scotland, 49.275. And Team Wales B in 49.796. So this is the semi-final. We will have semi-final A, where we will have Team Breeze against Team Scotland. And then we'll have Team Wales against Team Wales B. And this year, especially with the Commonwealth Games, we've seen Team Breeze, which is the academy team, podium riders. We've seen the Welsh team, but with some riders from the British Cycling Academy. But what they're actually doing here in these finals for the women's team sprint is they're trying to put the Scottish riders riding for Scotland, the Welsh riders riding for Wales, and the English riders. So that's why we're seeing Scotland, England and Wales, and they're putting them together. If they were to pick, if Team Breeze or Team Welsh was to pick their A team or B team, it'd probably be a little bit different, a mixture of the nations. So Rebecca, they're deciding to put the Scots, the English and the Welsh in their teams together with a view towards, you know, what we may see in Birmingham later on this year.
Yeah, that's really important insight, I think, because the national championships, of course, massive individual races in their own right, with many medals up for grabs, and as you mentioned at the top of the show, just so coveted to get a gold medal here and put that jersey on your shoulders. But a lot of these riders are looking for particular qualification times. They're looking to progress towards the Commonwealth Games, which is pretty fast approaching this year. We've got a full schedule of race action happening again after so many postponements with COVID, and the riders here will have very specific targets indeed. Not only that, perhaps gauging where they're at in terms of opposition.
So in the home straight we will have Team Breeze, Sophie Capewell, Blaine Ridge-Davis, Millie Tanner, and in the back straight we will have Team Scotland, Lauren Bell, Iona Moyer and Ellie Stone. So this one is, you could say, England against Scotland.
Well, in there for Team Breeze, as we just look on, as the beep goes from the start gate, Blaine Ridge-Davis and Millie Tanner of Team Breeze actually hold the British record at 47.702 alongside the time they took with Lauren Bates, so it'll be very interesting to see what they put down today.
So a team sprint of every rider will do 1 lap of the track. So the first rider starts and she will peel off as soon as she has done 1 lap, and what you want to do is have that kind of rush room, nothing between them, 0.68 for the moment. So a very close battle, but Team Breeze still nicking it. Team Scotland just got a little bit to do. This is going to be a close one. It's all going to come down into the final leg. So the bell rings, still nothing in it. It's only 0.26 So who's going to win this one, Breeze or Scotland? It's going to be a close one round the final banking, and they'll see the line in front of them. It's a hard push towards that line. They'll throw the bike, and Team Breeze takes that one with the 0.511 of a second. So Team Breeze on that final leg there looked as if that was a real strong performance there, and you know, basically it was nip and tuck all the way until that final lap there, Rebecca.
For anyone just watching the team sprint for the first time, I mean, we absolutely love observing this event and how it plays out from the commentary boxes. It's such a fast, thrilling and furious discipline of cycling. But yeah, if you're watching it for the first time, just a little bit of housekeeping, I guess, to take you through the rules. You'll see one rider peel off each lap, and unlike the team pursuit, they won't get onto the back again. So it's all about that all-out effort, and then leaving the remainder of your team to do the rest of the work. You can just see Team Breeze pushing all the way to the line there. Every second counts in the team sprint. We saw such exciting action from the men's field, and I'm really, really pleased to see such a big finale or set of heats coming up to this final for the women as well.
Well, Blaine Ridge-Davis was the last rider off her Team Breeze, and she was pretty much the strongest for that leg, so she did a tremendous amount of effort on that final lap to get that, you know, extra tenths of a second. It was very, very tight until then. So Team Breeze will go into the final medal ride-off, while Team Scotland will go into the ride-off for the bronze medal. So on to semi-final B, and in the home straight we'll have the home team. Well, we have two home teams, but this is Team Wales. Rhian Edmonds, Emma Finnegan and Lowry Thomas. And on the back straight we'll have Amy Cole, Stephanie Hall and Serena Nat. So both from Wales, one academy team, one the main team. So who's going to count mountain top? And as I mentioned just before, this was the fastest time in qualifying this morning. They set a time 48.755 earlier on today. To give you an indication, Team Breeze just did a 49.179, which was a little bit slower than they did earlier on today in qualifying, 1/10. So it is going to come down to the tenths of a second. So 5 seconds to the start. And off they go. Rider 1 powering away, and she will have a slightly smaller gear than the other two riders. She only has to do the first lap as fast as she can, then she'll peel off, and then the second rider will come through.
Rider 1 not measuring an effort. Rider 1 giving it absolute full tank out of that start gate, and then not only is it the job of the second two riders to get on terms of their gear, but that gap we often talk about rushing, that is actually a benefit, unless it gets too big. But most of the time these riders know exactly how to rush into that pocket of air and utilise it to perfection. well, as expected, Team Wales showing a clean pair of wheels here, coming up to stop the clock in 48.488. Quicker than they did this morning, so Team Wales on fire, beating the team in the back straight was Team Wales B. So Team A and B going up against each other, but it's the main team, Team Wales, taking that one. They'll go into the medal ride-off, and from that time they have set themselves up to become the new national champions. But this is not just all about power, it's about how you deliver. And if you get it all right, which Team Wales did so far in these championships, then they have to be favourites for the gold medal. Yeah, they were favourites if you look down the qualification list, as you just mentioned, and they did a time of 48.755. They're perhaps leaving a tiny margin in the tank earlier, although you don't want to leave too much to chance these days when the qualification rounds are so hard fought. But they were the quickest qualifiers, fastest on paper earlier today when we had those rounds. And yeah, they are looking very, very good going in. But we've seen the best riders in the world at the biggest competitions. Sometimes it doesn't all come together for a finale, yeah, these riders have utter concentration and trust in each other to make everything pull out of the bag at once.
Well, they are the only team that have gone faster in these championships, so Wales getting it right on the day, a pat in the back. And into the final it will be for Team Wales up against Team Breeze, and they were the only team that went faster in the semi-final there than they did in the qualifying this morning, which says a lot. I think they have to be the favourites as we look at some of the men keirin riders just chilling out.
Yeah, I love spotting things in the track centre, and I just saw Rachel James give one of the riders a pat on the back, and she's the sister of Becky James, who held the previous team sprint British record, or in fact still holds it, because it used to be over 500 metres with 2 riders, and then to bring up to the parity with the men, it became 750, of course 3 laps of the 250 metre track. But yeah, it was Becky James, Rachel James' sister, and Jess Varnish that held that title.
There he is, our Dernier man, our Dernier pacer. We will have 1 round of 5 and 5 rounds of 6. The winners into the semi-final, just like the women yesterday. So all important. But saying that, Rebecca, the winner of the women's keirin had to go through the repechage yesterday.
Yeah, I think unlike some competitions where you might say, right, the losers have a final chance to come back through the repechage, we saw some of the absolute cream of the crop have to do it that way, because we only saw the victor, the one winner of each heat, actually going automatically through to that semi-final. So we're by no means looking at you know, necessarily just the best of the rest. This is some of the very, very best, and they're coming in the hard way. Of course, as you always say, Brian, you want to waste as little energy as possible, and you don't want to have to do too many rides, but sometimes that had to be the way in the women's field, and I'm sure we'll see that again today.
Well, we have 6 heats. The first heat, there will be 5 riders. Benjamin Gill from Enhance, Finn Harrods, BC member, Matt Roper, Black Line, Matt Rotherham, the new 1 kilometre British time trial champion, and also Joe Truman.
So it's great to see a traditional Dernier, isn't it? And hear it, importantly, revving up on the track. This discipline, the keirin, has got so much heritage.
For the Dernier welcome rounds, the riders will hear the gun and they'll remain in that position. They pulled lots, so Black Line rider Matt Roper will take up his position and so forth, and they will stay in that position. The Dernier will take them up to a speed of 50 kilometres an hour with 3 laps to go, pull off onto the apron, and allow the riders to race the last 3 kilometres. And keirin's changed a little bit now. In the day it used to kind of, speed was higher, revved up into the 2.5 laps to go, and there seems to be nobody kind of wants to take it on with 3 laps to go.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of rule changes, and as I say, it originated as a betting sport, which it still is over in Japan, and I just always love the hustle and bustle of this event. And you'll notice that the way that the riders were lined up to start was in a particular order, and then they also dropped down in that order, and that's because the way they've drawn means that they have to go in that order, essentially behind the Dernier for this keirin, and they can't do what we've seen in the past, I think previous to 2017 with the rule change, where they could really give each other a barge before the Dernier came off.
Yeah, now they've started to look at each other. Down the outside goes Finn Harrods, over the top in the black, and this is going a long way out. Maybe he doesn't feel as confident as the others, so he goes from a long way out, and the others have got something to do here. And it's Truman trying to close this gap for Team Inspired. You can see Black Line Matt Roper right on the wheel, but coming up to the belt lap, and Joe Truman has brought the others back up. Matt Rotherham is in 4th place. Joe Truman going across the top. Matt Rotherham goes with him. Can't let Matt Rotherham come over the top. It's Truman against Rotherham. The winner goes through to the next round. It's neck and neck, and it's Matt Rotherham that shows the power. The 1 kilometre time trial champion takes that one from Joe Truman. What a finish that was. The two of them really wanted that first place. They didn't want to go into repechage. medalist. Joe Truman was a medalist in the sprint yesterday. Matt Rotherham, the showman that he is, he was beats his chest there, the 1 kilometre time trial champion of yesterday. That was a special heat, Rebecca.
It was a special heat. There is absolutely no measured effort here whatsoever. There's no holding back because it's a heat, because it's a round. These riders want to take the top spot, as you say, Brian. They don't want to have to do that extra ride to go for the repechage. And I was going to mention before just how the different riders in the keirin like to take it on from different positions. Some like to run early from the front, but looking at when Matt Rotherham timed that, of course, already having a national championship title this week, he is in fine form.
Are you surprised that Matt Rotherham never rode the sprint competition? Here we see the result. Matt Rotherham, Truman, Gill, Roper and Harrod. Harrod went too early. He knew he was up against some faster riders. Are you surprised that Matt never went for the sprint?
Yeah, I am in a way, and I think a rider like him, though, he specifically knows what he's targeting, and he's got potentially a big year ahead. We know and can see how much prep he's put in. He's got an eye on things like the Commonwealths, and yeah, maybe just focusing in specifically on these disciplines. But in terms of him being a showman, I love watching him in a match sprint, and actually would have really enjoyed that. But I think, you know, some riders are fielding really across the board at these championships, and there is a level of fatigue, and he's really narrowed his hopes in on these events.
So the Heat 2 will have Thomas Alcock, Black Line, Jack Carling, Team Inspired, the new sprint champion, Jeremy Franks from Glasgow Track Racing Club, Marcus Hilly, SES Racing, Ryan Phillips, DiMatteo, Anthony Young also from Glasgow Track Racing Club.
We've seen quite a few of the tremendously successful keirin talents in the UK go and spend time actually training and racing out in Japan before they come back and target the keirin in, you know, world level competitions. Becky James, a rider I mentioned earlier, huge success at the Olympics of the World, and yeah, she spent some time out in the ranks of Japan, just learning that craft. I mean, she learned her craft before she went, and then came back just the next level in understanding the ways to be a master tactician at the keirin.
They're now lined up behind the Derny, and that will be Ryan Phillips, DiMatteo behind the Derny, followed by Black Line's Tom Alcock, and then we had Anthony Young, Glasgow Track, his teammates, Jeremy Franks, Jack Carlin in the green, and at the back from SES Racing, Marcus Hilly. And I think all eyes will be on Jack Carlin, but these are, although he's a sprint champion, he's probably the fastest man here, but tactics do come into play.
Tactics do come into play, and a good example of that is Awang from Malaysia, and he is an absolutely entertaining showman, and the amount, of course he's got the ability, but also the nous in how to ride a keirin, and he's come into so many competitions not being the fastest on paper, and actually managed to just outsmart every piece of the opposition, so you can never say never in a keirin.
So a moment's hesitation at Alcock, still in the front, and nobody really wanted to take this on. He has got the rider from Black Line, Alcock, on the outside now, both of the Glasgow riders. Everybody waiting, but Alcock taking this one on. Jack Carling still 5th place at the back, starts to make an effort down the outside as Alcock starts to go for this one. Young now comes up for Glasgow, but Jack Carling straight over the top, not taking any prisoners, comes straight into the sprinters line. He has got massive speed. He's going to take this one with a canter. So Jack Carling will go into the next round. The rest of the riders will have to go through the repechage. So nice and easy for Jack.
Yeah, he didn't want to risk having to go for a repechage, but just look at that, once he unleashes the power.
The rider that crashed there from SES, Jonah Harris, is okay. You just see it now, is the rider from Glasgow. I don't know what happened there. The rider from Glasgow looked as if he was on the line, but at the top of the track caused a reaction there and slipping all the way down, and unfortunately for Wybrow, so that was nasty, very nasty. And And you know, from slipping from the top of the track to the bottom, you know, a lot of burns, that's going to hurt.
Yeah, and you could see on that replay in attempts to avoid, you know, go up and over and avoid what was going on below, he actually rode up onto the fence off the track there. I mean, that was an incredibly scary moment for that rider, but both looking like they've got up off the Côte d'Azur now, which is all we want to see. But that, you know, the heat continued. If the track is clear, the rule is that they don't stop the race.
So the team terminator, Norris, will go round. I don't think there was anything wrong. Look at the Glasgow rider, he's on the blue line now. Maybe just a slight touch. I don't think there was anything in it, and you can see Wybrow goes up. This is the moment you're talking about, right up onto the fence. That I've seen that happen before sometimes, and I've seen that happen where the rider has actually went straight over the top. And I think there was a famous one in the Olympic Games. I think there's a famous one in the Olympic Games where it went up and the rider stayed up. Right, it was actually incredible. You don't often see that, but the worst thing you want is the rider to go over the top, and luckily, you know, he came down onto the track and slid down. But I don't think the Glasgow rider, Monks, was to blame there. But at that speed, Rebecca, it just needs a nudge.
Yeah.
And down you come.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You could actually just see that, you know, it wasn't like someone made a big manoeuvre there. There was just a slight touch of wheels as two riders sort of slightly moved at the same time. And you know, that's enough, as you say, at that pace to come down. But if you did look very closely at the slow-mo repeat of that, and I think when a rider does go up on the fence like that, yeah, we have seen a spectacular case where someone did hold it, but he actually did a lot to control himself from not going over the top. If you saw what he did with his hand there, I think it's important to note that, because his rear wheel was going so high, and he actually put his hand to that barrier and I think stopped himself going over, which is a big relief to see.
Right, we're going to watch it again. You can see that Norris, it was just a slight touch, there was nothing in that, but that's a scary moment. I'm so glad Wybrow, nobody likes to see a crash, but I'm so glad he never went over the top there. It could have been really, really serious. But what's happening at the moment, Rebecca, is there'll be a bit of a lull in the action.
Yeah. So they've got to check that track now, and you know, many people that have followed track cycling over the years will have seen the absolute hell that splinters can cause, and we've seen some really nasty cases where what quite often happens is, as you see the pieces of equipment and bike and body going against the track in a crash, is that a pedal is often the culprit to take a chunk of that wooden track out. And then of course, if a rider themselves or the riders even behind are unlucky enough to slide straight over that, we have seen huge shards of wood literally go through people's limbs. So sorry to be so graphic, but that is why these commissaires and officials have to take a really good look at this track now, because if there's a subsequent injury because of it, you know, we've got to be belt and braces about this stuff here at the velodrome. But you do often see very quick makeshift repairs, and that's what these this team is looking at now. Yeah,
these are the commissaires, and I don't think many people really understand how steep that banking is, 45 degrees, and I don't think many people are able to. I've seen people repair with just getting a ladder at the bottom, or like they're doing now, dropping a rope down so that they can actually climb up onto the bank and to check the track or repair the track, and that's what we're getting now. So we will have a bit of a lull in the action for the moment. Quite a nasty crash. I'm so glad he got up from that one, because that could have gone two ways, and lucky it was okay. So the man for the moment who's been repairing the track over these championships is now going to go up the track using a rope, and he'll repair the damages to the track. You don't want any damage. You can see the black gaffer take on from previous crashes. Seems to be the same corner all the time coming into the finish. We had it in the points race, men's points race yesterday. So we will have a lull in the action for the moment as the track is repaired.
And it does happen, doesn't it? We've seen it a couple of times already this weekend, and many times over the years, that they do these repairs very, very quickly. But I think in this case, they've seen something they're not 100% happy with. It's slightly further up. Of course, that rider going very high up onto that fence. So they will just give that a really good look over now. And of course, as you say, it's so steep. That's why we're seeing a rope and harness here. And if you stand up and actually just put your hand, if you ever had the opportunity to put your hand towards the banking, you'll realise just how steep those degrees are. And yeah, that's why he wouldn't really be able to jog himself up there. But I'm just trying to think back to the crash or potential crash that you were thinking of, Brian, and which riders were involved, because I remember somebody hitting the fence like that, holding it, but then I believe it might have been Alex Spratt, the sprinter, former rugby player, that almost looked to do some sort of track bike bunny hop, but he held it as well. So I'd love to see if we can dig out that footage, because I think it was the most spectacular 2 saves I ever thought. And I said to him afterwards, what were you thinking when you're trying to do a high-speed bunny hop on a track bike on a fixed gear? And he said, I don't think I was thinking, but I just had to try something, and I think it paid off for both riders. But yeah, we're looking again at that replay. You saw how he put his hand onto that barrier and pushed himself back down, and I honestly think that saved him from going over the top, and he just went into fight or flight there. And as you say, such a big relief that, you know, the wheel didn't tip over the top of the barrier there, because it could have been very, very nasty indeed.
Well, most tracks, the top barrier part is kind of pushed out a little bit anyway, to stop the riders from actually going over. You can see it now, that's the way it happens, but there has been an incident in the past that, you know, a rider has gone over, unfortunately. But you can see the repairman out, just sanding down the parts. The last you want is a splinter. I noticed he picked up one of the splinters and just put it down his top. So ran out of grey gaffer tape. We're now into his black gaffer tape, and this is, you know, all about health and safety. It's important, because although it still can be ridden, it's the fact that if there's another crash and that splinter's there, we've seen what happens with splinters in the past. It's not nice.
We have. I think you've suffered a few splinters, as have I, in your time. I do remember a lot of track riders saying, I'm pretty sure there's tiny shards of splinters still in the thigh somewhere. Not an uncommon tale of track racing.
There have been a couple of kind of instances in the past. I know that Awang had quite a serious one that went through pretty much the bottom part of his leg. I know that Jason Quealy had one. I think it was up in Meadowbank, where it went almost the length of his back. So there has been some kind of nasty incidents, and you know, there was a wee bit of talk about, you know, why we're using this kind of surfaces. You know, this is what we use. This is, you know, the best. There is a bit of kind of grip in wood as well, and I know there are hard tracks out there. So as long as it's prepared, as long as there's a bit of protection there, it should be okay. But yeah, over the years, you'll find, I'm not too sure, because Peter Jacques goes around the world and you know, builds these tracks, puts them up. I don't know what their lifetime is. It's a bit like Trigger's broom. You know, you have a track for many years, but you can have it kind of resurfaced. I don't know how long a track lasts for. Do you know any?
Yeah, well, the reason, or one of the reasons that we have the pleasure of being over at the Welsh Geraint Thomas Velodrome is that there are being refurbishments done to Manchester Velodrome, and it is important that these things are done. I mean, it's a vast job, isn't it? A vast job of a 250-metre track of this magnitude. But yeah, we do see the likes of the London Velodrome with the level of competition we see there, and of course Manchester, for many years having been the national home of our squad. You do have to make sure these surfaces are sort of kept up to date and are working well for the riders. But it's a different beast, isn't it? You know, you look at the dynamics of outdoor racing, and you know, I talk about risks, of course. You know, we mostly get through a lot of racing incident free, but crashes do happen in every element of cycling, and you know, there is the element of potential splinters indoors, but it's usually a much more forgiving surface to slide down than it is on a flatter outdoor hard track. So yeah, a different beast entirely. A glimpse of the track centre now. So much going on down there. Was that Lewis Oliva we spotted there?
Yes.
Just trying to pick out people. We've seen so many familiar faces throughout this competition who are now coaching other riders and here to support their riders in various races. And I just think it's so important. I really think it's so important that we get the wealth of coaching talent from ex-pros and people that really understand the dynamics of the sport, and we've certainly got that. And Jason Kenny has very quickly, after announcing his retirement, happily moved into the coaching ranks of British Cycling for the men's sprint programme, and he's been holding up the likes of Jack Carlin, giving a little word in his ear before competition. And yeah, we've seen him kind of in and around the track centre over the last couple of days. I think, yeah, more and more talent joining the ranks. Georgia Holt and Matt Rotherham there. Georgia's been fielding individual events as well as tandem piloting Laura Facchi MBE, so she's had a very busy training schedule indeed, racing across both sides of it. But yeah, she's an interesting rider, actually. She's come through a lot to be where she is. She had heart surgery and actually, overcame, what I can only imagine is the hugest of recoveries to get back on the bike and get back to this form. And yeah, not only individually racing, but with a view to going to the Commonwealth Games to represent in the tandem pilot with Laura Facchi. Another rider to come from a talent ID programme, which again I think is just so important for diversifying the sport, finding people that haven't maybe had a family background in cycling. I mean, for myself, I know that I wouldn't have discovered cycling had it not been for my parents, both racing bikes and riding bikes themselves their whole lives, and having an older brother that did it. But I think that was anecdotally the only way people really did come across it back then. But now, we've since had programme talent ID kind of going into schools and picking out people that might be quick round a running track, or maybe actually you look like you've got some explosive power, when we've done PE lessons. And that's what's brought so many people into this sport. And Georgia Holt was chatting to me yesterday and saying that she had a view on skeleton, she was eventing in horse riding, all these different things, and actually ended up on the track as a very specific track cyclist, obviously a place she finds herself in very happily. But it was interesting to see the sports that she was showing promise in, and actually someone said, right, cycling is the one for you.
We're seeing shots of the infield and the pens for the particular teams and riders. It can be a hustle and bustle place, very engaging. It can also be a lonely place as you try to kind of find yourself before your event.
It is so individual as to the psychology behind putting out a performance, because I think some riders really revel in sitting quietly and blocking out any external factors, maybe putting headphones on, knowing exactly what playlist they're going to have on. And then you see other riders, I think Matt Rotherham, for example, he likes to psych himself up, he likes to interact with people, to play to the crowd, and that's what really gets the best performance out of him. But I know that some riders would be so opposite. We're seeing some of the riders now with their headphones on. Some people don't want to have a little chat while they're warming up on the rollers, and others would revel in it right calmly to the last minute. So again, it's so individual the way you cope with this level of competition.
So we move on after the repair. Heat 3, we'll have Oliver Allul from Sport City Velo, Lewis Arthur from Glasgow Track, James Bunting from Team Inspired, Jacob Davis from PDQ Cycle Clothing, Ed Lowe, Black Line, Sam Smith of Enhanced. Just to remind everybody, the winner goes through to the semi. The losing riders will all go through to the repechage, and even in the repechage, Rebecca, the winner only will go through to the semi-final. So you've got 2 bites of the cherry to move through into the semi-final.
You really do. I mean, the pressure could not be more on in the way that these sort of heats are processed, because the riders are not able as they might have done previously, to sit back and think, right, well, I know I'm one of the favourites, or I'm perhaps going to come in the top couple of riders. You absolutely have to win the race to get through, and then, as you say, the same in the repechage. So this is a very, very tough competition, and I think the biggest game here in a way will be the game of the head, because the distraction when you know it's all in at the earlier stages, that's a hard one to process. But again, we've got some very talented riders here who will, really focus on psychology as well as everything else.
So it will be Smith from Enhanced that will settle behind the bike in the kind of grey silver. Sports City, Alul in second place in the green and the white. In the black will be Ed Lowe. In fourth place, the rider from Glasgow, Lewis Arthur. Team Inspired in the green, fifth. And that will be Bunting. And on the back in the yellow, Jacob Davis. So this Dernick will speed up to about 50 kilometres an hour and peel off with 3 laps to go. So you can relax for the first lap and a half. And then you can see the riders will be looking behind to see if anybody is going to go for a long one as it pulls off into the apron in the centre of the track. So Davis looking to move round the outside for PDQ. This must be his tactic. So 3 laps to go, and it's Davis that decides he wants to try and go long. Not 100% committed, but he wants to be on the fronts.
Absolutely incredible. I've never seen anything quite like Vicky Pendleton, and just giving a bit of context with that 33.838.
But saying that, she wasn't like we talked about Mark Rotherham, that he's just kind of all muscle. Vicky wasn't that way. She was so fluid. Okay, she was strong. We were talking the other day about how Keirin's gone up in both men and women's cycling. I know that World Championships have been won on 95, 96. The World's Points Championship was won in a 95, 96 inch gear. We talked about Laura Kenny. She rides 140, 106 in bunch races. So riders are getting stronger and stronger. Times are getting faster and faster. But Vicky wasn't the biggest looking rider, but she had that strength and she had that suppleness and desire. But moving on, we have Rihanna Paris-Smith from Team Terminator in the black in the home straights. Stephanie Hall from Wales Racing Academy in the back straights. They have 10 seconds to go to their effort.
And this is all about time, as you say, Brian. This is the 500 metre TT final. So this is all about putting everything in against the clock for these riders.
We have 2 riders on the track. We have Paris-Smith and Hall, but it's not about riding against your competitor on the other side. This is purely about time, and already Paris-Smith is up in the fastest time. So 1 more lap, she's still up. She's over 1 second up, and so is Stephanie Hall. So it looks like they could be filling the first 2 places. And Paris-Smith looking good. She's coming down to finish, and it looks like she's going to have the fastest time, 35.121.
Oh, Paris-Smith there is riding for Team Terminator, and I know the founder and the main man behind the team, Dave McGrath, is probably watching at home, because very sadly he's recovering from a very difficult spell in hospital. So we're thinking of you, Dave, sending our love, and brilliant ride there.
Yeah, he is watching. I know.
Paris-Smith.
He's doing nothing else. He said he's staying in. He's watching the track championships. He said brilliant commentary. Apart from that Smithy, it's brilliant commentary. So Paris-Smith 35.121 takes it, the fastest so far. Stephanie Hall with 35.359.
She's happy with that. A few little fist bumps there.
That's a solid time, 35.121. And next up, Heat 3. special one for me. Lucia Steele from my club, the Johnston Whalers. She coaches the Johnston Jets. So Lucia Steele, she never rode the team sprint for Scotland as she wanted to look at this event. She'll, however, go into the final, the ride-off for the bronze in the team pursuits, the team sprint, sorry. So Lucia Steele in the west of Scotland will go up against Serena Nat for Wales Racing Academy. Serena's really ridden well in these championships so far.
She's really impressed me, actually. She's a rider I've had an eye on for a couple of years, to be honest. I've noticed her coming through the ranks of British cycling, and of course, something I've nodded to over the last couple of days is the fact that this is the first time the national championships have come back for 2 years. We had the postponement because of the pandemic and the restaging of the Olympic Games at a different date, and this couldn't take place. So now we're back. We're seeing the progression of some of these riders, and Serena Nat has really, really impressed us both. Just having a little look at which riders opt to have straps over their shoes, and that's just purely because they're pulling such immense power out these start gates. They don't want their feet to come out.
And off they go. I don't know if you could hear it, but we have got some of the kids in watching, and they are counting down to the start.
It was a really good countdown as well, a very accurate countdown from a lot of young fans, and hopefully they're all being very much inspired.
So Lucia up against Nat, but it all counts against the teams that have gone already. Nat going slightly quicker now. So it's about the fastest time, so 1 lap to go for both riders as we come down the finishing straights, and it's going to be very close there, but Nat takes this one. She goes into first place, 35.073. So we were just talking about how impressed we were with Nat over these championships, so she'll be really pleased with that. She's been knocking at the door with so many events over the last couple of days.
She has, and it will be a really interesting one for her to go away and appraise and look at with her coaches, because she's fought every step of the way, and I think we'll go away very happy with some PBs this weekend. And the way she's rode across the disciplines has been mightily impressive. But she's turned our heads very much, and putting down a really impressive time.
The thing about Serena Nat is she's prepared to get stuck in, even in the Keirin racing when she was really kind of battling out, coming up, and it's not about following, it's about racing, and I think I like that style that she's got. So Serena's style will go on kind of from strength to strength because she wants to race, and that's a good thing about moving forward in her career.
It is, because it's one thing focusing in on a result and following, but if you've got overall progression in mind, as easy as it is for me to say, you want to be looking at those micro targets and actually how you want to best tactically ride a race, as well as you wanting the win. You want to progress as a rider and look with a view to what you might be fielding subsequently that season and in years to come as well.
Well, if you've been watching the championships over the last couple of days, these are a couple of local stars. Anna Morris from Team Wales in the home straight, and Emma Finucane in the Team Wales in the back straight. So both Welsh riders, and both have really impressed in these championships already. Anna Morris has already medalled. A doctor deciding to take a year out. She spent the whole lockdown at IC unit, and she's decided that she wants to try and get to the Commonwealth Games and represent her country of Wales.
I mean, it just gives such massive context, doesn't it? I mean, what she will have been through and seen during the pandemic, and worked tirelessly, I can only imagine. And to come back and be on this form, I mean, what a competitor.
So 2 Welsh athletes on the track, Morris and Finucane. And so far, Finucane in 5th, Morris 7th. And on to their final lap, Finucane up to 2nd place. Now Morris is still down in 6th place. So Finucane, what you got left? Wow! she is up there, and she could be setting the fastest time now, coming close up to the finishing line, 34.715. She goes fastest, and an excellent result from Emma Finnegan. Anna Morris more suited to the pursuit, but wanted to give the 500 metre an opportunity here. But Wales can rejoice, and Emma Finnegan taking the fastest spot already.
3 more heats to go.
Going back to what we were chatting about earlier with Victoria Pendleton, and just the way she changed the game really in the sport, and especially in the UK, and inspired a new generation of sprinters. Because I feel like before that point, when she burst onto the scene, it was about riders in the sprint events trying to just be bigger, to bulk up, to look like they'd spent the most time in the gym. And I think she bucked that trend. And not only was she an absolute textbook tactician, but she did break the mould in terms of saying, right, this is my physique, this is my power to weight, and this is how I'm going to make it work. And you know, obviously the rest was history, and she started winning, and winning big. But I think it inspired a generation of riders that look perhaps in a different way at their power to weight, and it wasn't just all about bulking up.
Well, I actually kind of grew up with Eddie Alexander, the Scottish rider that medalled at the Olympics, and you know, he was up against the Russians and East Germans, which were just pure muscle men, and he wasn't. Okay, he was strong, but he was a bit like that, you know, slighter, long legs, long levers, but he was so powerful. But nowadays it's not about physique, as you said. You never underestimate anybody just the way they look. So we are on to Heat 5. Ellie Costa, again a double act here for Team Wales, and Rhian Edmonds. Rhian Edmonds in the back straight. She already has a national title, and another talent, 18-year-old, lives 15 minutes away from the velodrome from Newport. So winner of the women's sprint. Up against, she's on the track with Ellie Costa, but up against, I think, Emma Finnegan, who is leading this competition at the moment.
Yeah, as Brian points out, we've got two riders on opposite sides of the track, but it is against the clock. It's a final. It's all about what they can do and what they can put out in this 500 metre time trial, rather than it being a head-to-head race. But Ellie Costa, years of experience, and will have ridden this event so many times and be so well versed in it. Rhian Edmonds now already taking a national championship jersey and gold medal this week, but newer to the sport.
So Ellie Costa, she was at that time check, there was second, moving down to fourth. Rhian Edmonds, I think she's out of it. So Ellie Costa says a time of 35.285, 35.462 for Rhian Edmonds, and to me that's no surprise. She was excellent in the first day. We talk about backing up rides, and she took that sprint title. But we hear it so often from a lot of the riders that we used to have the national champions over a week. Now it's over kind of 3 days, and it's backing up these efforts. And you know, you're talking about Rhian Edmonds. She's only 18-year-old. She's kind of burst onto the scene. She's a new national champion, but it's these kind of back-to-back days, back-to-back efforts. So Ellie Costa into fifth, Rhian Edmonds into seventh. So still at the top of the leaderboard is Emma Finnegan, Srina Nath in the silver medal position, and Paris Smith in the bronze. So we will have 2 more heats to come, 6 and 7, with Iona Moyer, Ellie Stone, Lauren Bell and Sylvia Mistel. So 3 medals, gold, silver and bronze. Can any of these athletes get into the medal position? The fastest time so far, and the only person under 35 seconds is Emma Finnegan, 34.715.
And I think we can often forget that riders, albeit very high level riders, are human. And we can look at their PBs and their best time and what they've already won and what they've done earlier in a competition, but actually, as you say, just backing up and backing up and backing up is something in itself that you have to train. And not only that, you don't know how you're going to fare on the day, and you know, there's a lot of pressure coming in as a favourite as well.
So Iona Moyer normally rides for SES, but because of the team sprint, she has decided to keep the Scotland skin suit on, which I love looking at, I have to say.
You like that one?
Ellie Stone from Black Line, also in the Scotland skin suit. They only rode the qualifying and the semi-final earlier today. So Scotland against Scotland. So Moyer and Stone, away they go in their efforts to try and snatch a medal. Let's see what they can do after half a lap. And Ellie Stone is up already, 0.1, so a good start from Stone. Can she maintain this? And she can. 0.2, it's going further up, so Ellie Stone looking good. She looks as if she could be going into a medal position here, and what will it be? 0.3, so it went 0.1, 0.2, now 0.3. Can she hold this? Can she hold this? And she can. 34.529, 0.185, so she goes into the gold medal position. So Ellie Stone and Iona Moyer goes into the bronze medal position. So a good ride by both Scottish athletes there. So very pleasing for Ellie Stone there, going faster and faster and faster, and that's what you want to do in this event.
Earlier in the week, I was wandering around the track centre, having a bit of a natter with people, and Ellie Stone was a name that kept being said to me. Ellie Stone, Ellie Stone. And well, talking of backing up, we can see why she is the name on everyone's lips. And I think in previous years, going back a bit, you used to see some quite ragged starts, even at high international level, coming out of the start gate for a 500. And it just goes to show how close this competition is, because everybody is getting such neat rides in that the competition is getting narrower and narrower. But what we've just seen from those two riders was spectacular. And yeah, Ellie Stone, a name to remember.
Well, Ellie Stone in the keirin was, I don't think it was a surprise or a shock or anything like that, but the way she just glided around the track and took the keirin title yesterday was absolutely amazing. And she's turned that around. We talk about backing things up. She's come out today, and I was going to say that just watch out for Ellie Stone today, because in the form you saw at the keirin, maybe not in the sprints competition, but she had to come back the hard way through the repechage, and she rode one more than anybody else, and she took it in the day. So it looks as if when you've got form, you can recover well, and that's what she's obviously done overnight. So well done to Ellie Stone. So Ellie Stone will be in the gold medal position. Wales with Emma Finucane in third. Scotland again, Iona Moyer in third place. And what can these two do? We have got Lauren Bell in the home straight and Sylvia Mistel from Glasgow track in the back straight. So Bell, big start from Lauren Bell there. Same for Sylvia Mistel in the back. So half a lap gone. What's Bell's time? She's only second, but 400s down on the fastest time. She's still seconds, and it's very, very close, this one. Can she eke anything out on this final lap? So we're concentrating on Lauren Bell, still second place there, but it's so tight. What can Lauren Bell, can she snatch victory away from Ellie Stone? No, she can't. Lauren Bell goes into second place, 500ths of a second down. Sylvia Mistel in 12th place, so it will be another gold medal for Ellie Stone. Lauren Bell will take the silver medal, and Emma Finucane of Wales will take the bronze medal. So Lauren Bell just coming up so short, 0.054, so nothing in it in the end. I don't think you can even measure, 500ths of a second. It's so close. There you see the result there. Ellie Stone, Lauren Bell and Emma Finucane, and impressive times, I have to say, but Ellie Stone pops up again. So a 1-2 for Scotland with Wales there in third place, and Ellie Stone can be happy with that. She's had an excellent national championships 2 national champs jerseys now.
And you're happy with that result as well, aren't you, for Scotland? Lovely skin suit, getting it showing out there. We saw her in black line kit yesterday, and I think in her post-race interview she was talking about the approach that she took tactically to the keirin, wasn't she? And
Clinical, wasn't it?
Sorry?
Clinical.
Well, I think she also sort of said, right, she was just waiting for the moment someone came back, and it's that glorious moment where you see the line and no one has come back, and yeah, I mean, backed up the performance yet again, another medal.
But this is the first kind of major championships in some time for many of these athletes, so you know they don't know where they're at. But yes, good. You know, that's good for Scotland. We still, you know, with the fact that the Commonwealth Games are coming up, we've got some really strong female athletes. Kate Richardson being one of them, new from triathlon now into, you know, now medaling here in the pursuit. So that's what a lot of these riders are now focusing on. They're focusing on, you know, the big goal of the year, going to Birmingham, and you know, trying to, you know, everybody wants to represent their country. You know, I was, you know, proud to represent Great Britain, but also proud to represent Scotland at the same time, and you know, I get that opportunity to be able to do that. And you know, we are going. It's kind of home, Commonwealth Games, Birmingham, and you know, luckily for me, I got to the Commonwealth Games in my first year as a senior bike rider at 18, and when I went all the way over from Glasgow all the way over to Edinburgh, and it felt like it was a home Commonwealth Games for me. And it was a kind of special moment, but I think even with it being in Birmingham, I think it's still kind of close to home for the likes of Wales, you know, Scotland, Ireland, and of course England, and it means that, you know, your family and friends can come and see you. It's kind of a special time for many of these athletes.
So special, and I'm just looking here at the draw going on, and you can see the playing cards. A little bit of a chat with Truman there, but yeah, this is indeed the cards being drawn, so to speak, and literally for the keirin that we have coming up.
So we will have 6 repechages, if that's what you call them, repechages.
Repechages.
Or repechage.
That's a good question. Someone will tell us.
So in the first one, we will have Jacob Davis, PDQ, Stephen Lloyd of Wales Racing Academy, Joe Truman, Team Inspired, and Anthony Young of Glasgow Track. Only the first rider will go through to the semi-final. And it can only seem like, what, half an hour ago they were trying to qualify. So the riders that actually won their heat, they can sit back, listen to the music, just watch what's going on. But these riders, but these riders have to go again, and yeah, it's just one of these things that over a championship's over 3 days. If you're racing quite a bit, we've seen Lucia Steele there do the 500 metres. She dipped out the Scotland team for the team sprint, although she'll be going back in it afterwards. She wanted to concentrate on the 500 metres. So when you've got stacked up events like this in a day, it's very difficult what you're going to concentrate on. It's the same with Josh Tarling last night. Sensational. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. The immense point race was absolutely amazing. Something happened in the points race that I've never actually seen before in a points race. I'm not going to give anything away, but if you watched it, brilliant. You know what I'm talking about. But if you didn't, go back and watch last night, because it was an absolutely amazing points race. But Josh Tarling, he's up again today, and in the scratch race, so it's hard to kind of back these things up.
It is, and looking down the sort of list of events over the last couple of days, I have had that question in my mind, you know, with them being so packed in and close together, will riders prioritise one or try and get back up again and again? And of course, some riders have done that, and yeah, immensely. Well,
my philosophy is I used to train to recover, not train to race. And if I train to recover, the quicker I recover, the faster I'll race. Simple as that. So we are off, and we have Lloyd in the red from Wales Racing Academy behind the bike, and then PDQ with Davis in the black and the yellow, Glasgow in the white with the blue is Young at the back. We have Truman, and surely Truman would be the favourite in this field. I think maybe disappointed in the previous heats. A medalist already in the team sprints, or the sprint individual sprints, to Jack Carlin. So, but like we've seen already in the keirin, anything can happen. You can get blocked in, but it's less likely to get kind of blocked in when there's only 4.
Yeah, very good point to note. And we saw them drawing the cards. That gave them the position that they had to drop down behind that Derny, and behind that Derny they must stay until 3 laps to go. They're starting to look around at each other now. But Joe Truman in that position at the back, he's probably ridden, scenarios of keirin's from the front, from the back, from the middle, and he'll know exactly what to do. But he's got a good vantage point here, and he'll have something to do here, and he'll want to get through, of course.
So Lloyd at the front, and Davis doing what he did in it the previous time. He wants to try and take this one from the front, has a second thought about it. So it's Lloyd, Davis, Truman with Young watching what Truman is doing. He knows he's probably one of the favourites. So when the team inspired rider comes, Truman, I think Young will be straight on him. So inside the last 2 laps, Young waiting for Truman to make his move, and he makes his move, and Young is straight on. Oh! The door was closed there, so not enough room for Young to go through. So Truman has to continue his efforts into the last lap, and Truman will take this one convincingly. Have to look at that one again, but yeah, Truman will go through to the semi-final. An unfortunate incident there from Young. I think Young was just waiting for Truman to make his move, reacted, but there was no room. The door was shut on him, and unfortunately the Scottish rider from Glasgow, Anthony Young, crashed out. But I have seen him on his feet, and he looks okay. Just watch this. He was waiting, the rider from Glasgow in the white, just waiting for Truman to make his move. Truman made his move down the back straight. Young comes up ever so slightly, and then just watch this as Truman comes down. He comes down, touches him, and Young is down.
Yeah, you're right.
Not
I think
too
he's
sure.
Yeah, I mean, we need to look at that officially, but I think he's anticipated, hasn't he? He's watching Truman. He's come through, as you say, a gap that perhaps wasn't there. And
I think
actually,
the gap was there. It's just Truman came down on him and closed that gap.
Well, we'll have to see.
I think he's got. Yeah, might not really want that, but
we'll cut off that one.
Yeah, I think that there could be something from Young on that one, because in my opinion he moved up before Truman had passed, but Truman came down a little bit, and it's that movement of coming down. But we'll wait to see what the officials say, but I think they definitely have to look at that one.
Yeah, I was over reserve ultimate judgment, but yeah, I felt that Truman moved and then there was a move up, but I didn't feel like the gap was there. But as you say, it happens so fast. Let's see what the official...
At the gap's there. He's on his line. Watch Truman. Truman's up near the blue line, but Truman comes down. He comes down halfway down. So from where I am standing as a neutral, I have to say there is Truman comes down. He comes down from the blue line towards the red line, as Young was already between the red line and the blue line. So in my opinion, I'm trying to think as maybe as a punter rather than a commentator, but as I think Truman comes down. So look,
let's look one more time.
Young is there in the middle between the red and the blue. Truman comes over the top, but he comes down from the blue line and closes the door. As far as I'm concerned, that isn't a legal manoeuvre, but it will be down
I'm
to
waiting
the judges.
for the official ruling there.
You can't wait, you have to have an opinion.
My opinion is I felt that Truman pretty much held his line there, but I know we're in disagreement here, so let's...
That's good.
Let's see what the officials have to say about it. I feel like it was a coinciding of very slight moves there. I don't feel like Truman shut the door, but let's see.
So moving on to repechage 2, we'll have Lyle Craig of Glasgow Track, Benjamin Gill of Enhanced, Jonah Harris of SES Racing, Matt Roper of Black Line, and Thomas Sharp of Loughborough Students.
C7 for dangerous riding during the course of the race. So Truman will not progress in the competition. Winner of that one for riding across the line in second place.
And I think we're just hearing something, Rebecca.
We shall move on to repechage heat 2.
Did you hear anything? We're just hearing the stadium announcer announcing that Joe Truman has been relegated for that manoeuvre, and it will be the rider that crossed the line behind him. So it'll be Stephen Lloyd that will progress into the semi-final. So an illegal manoeuvre from Joe Truman puts him down to third, and Stephen Lloyd will go through for the Wales Racing Academy. So I announced 4 riders in this repechage, so it looks as if we only have the 4. Jonah Harris has not appeared. So this will be enhanced Benjamin Gill, Matt Roper, Glasgow track with Lyle Craig, and at the back in the purple is Thomas Sharp. So Gill, Roper, Craig and Sharp as they start to wind this up. So only 4 riders in this one. And the next lap round, the Dernay will peel off onto the apron of the track. The winner will go through, barring any incidents of course, the winner will go through to the semi-final, the winner only. So Gill at the front, and then Roper, Gill and Roper, with Sharp at the back. Craig in third place, no reaction yet. Sitting waiting, now comes Roper, Roper down the outside. Craig decides to follow. Gill is pushed back, but not 100%. Craig going the long way around here, battling for the inside as Roper. They come up to the bell and over the top. Gill is trying to come from enhanced. It's a 3-horse race for the moment. Roper still has pole position, Craig, but Gill is trying to come over the top. He doesn't have the legs, so it's between Craig and Roper down the finish, and it's going to be Roper from Black Line that takes that one. So Matt Roper will go through to the semi-final. For the rest, they will no longer be part of that competition, incident free. You can see here that it was just a battle, Rebecca, to hold that bottom line the shortest way around the track. We're forcing the other riders to come the long way around.
Yeah, and something you see time and time again is a rider just give a little bit of a dip of the head there. You just see that absolute all-in push to the line, just everything you've got, knowing that you've got an opponent on your shoulder, and that is the most likely place you're going to get rolled with a lunge. But you know, he knew what he needed to do there, and no one's getting an easy ride today. Not that there's any such thing, but people are fighting so hard to get back through these repechage.
So we're on to repechage 3, and this will be Thomas Alcock of Black Line, Marcus Hilly of SAS Racing, Niall Monks of Glasgow Track, Sam Smith of Enhanced, Hamish Turnbull of Team Inspired. And we do have all 5 in this one. I just feel, talking about the previous one, Rebecca, with Truman being disqualified, I just feel for Anthony Young now, because with that manoeuvre he crashed, and yet he wasn't able to compete for that.
Yeah.
You know, that win. He didn't make it to second, and you know, he doesn't get another chance at it, which must be disappointing for him.
Yeah, it's such a difficult one, isn't it? And I think it's one of the questions that people ask me a lot about track racing in general is, hang on, where do the rules fit on this? You know, if it's an unfortunate incident where you have touched the wheel, someone takes you out and you come out of that competition, like, you know, we saw at the very latter stages of something like the points race qualification, you know, you're looking at different stages of the race as to whether you can get back in or whether you get a restart. And yeah, I think a lot of people quite rightly ask the question, you know, are these things fair?
So we have Alcock behind the Derney in the black, Turnbull in the green, in the reds, Hilly and Handstaff Smith in the grey, and right at the back from Glasgow is Monks. Still a lot of looking behind. Can Glasgow get anybody? They just had an unfortunate crash there in one of the previous rounds by one of the stronger riders, Anthony Young. Can they do something and get someone in the final? Still moving along nicely as Glasgow take on from the front with Monks. Hilly goes over the top, now comes Turnbull in the green. Monks holding the bottom line, coming up to a lap to go, but it's Hilly and Turnbull. Turnbull waiting to pounce, but will have to come round the long way, which he does. But it's still Hilly at the front. Inside, you've got Monks, very, very close this one. Coming on to that final lap. And it's Turnbull taking it on from the front. And wow, he just smokes everybody. And he will cruise into the semi-final by some distance here. Some strong riding here from Turnbull, taking nothing by chance, but a good manoeuvre. Strong leg work in the end and powers to victory. So we'll see him later on in the semi-final.
Yeah, he really used the wheels there, and then with about a lap to go, came through, took it on from the front and held it from there, and didn't just hold it, increase a huge gap to convincingly go through. But yeah, interesting to see his level of experience, just using those wheels for as long as he could, and then knowing he had to go with that lap. So he didn't have to leave it too late, with too much to do coming around the outside.
Still a hard effort there for Turnbull, because he was up against some strong competition, but you know, that's two hard efforts within an hour, and you know, Hamish Turnbull will go through to the semi-final, which again is, you know, later on this afternoon. It all counts.
Yeah, they don't get a nap now, unfortunately, for anyone.
Maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, if they're very proficient at power naps, perhaps you could get one in actually. But with short gaps, it's another string to the bow to be able to go away and know exactly what you need to do on the rollers, for example, when to time your nutrition throughout the day. And that's when you get higher and higher in the ranks of cycling. You know, these things just become second nature that you've done them so many times. But it is a learning curve for newer riders to make sure that in the demands of a track race competition, when you're getting up time and time and time again, that you do get these elements right.
So moving on to repechage 4, we have Oliver Alou of Sports City Velo, Daniel Cooper of Team Terminator, Jeremy Franks of Glasgow Track, Ed Lowe of Black Line, and Ryan Phillips of De Matteo. And it'll be Black Line, Ed Lowe, that will be the rider that will grab the back wheel of the Derney when it comes through. So it will be Ed Lowe, Black Line, followed by De Mattio's Ryan Phillips. Sports City in the green have got Alou. And following Alou from Glasgow, Franks, and at the back, the Terminator, Cooper. At least we're seeing some different colours in these ones.
I was going to say that a moment ago. We've got different coloured kit on the start line today. I think we had one of the finals yesterday in the women's keirin where every single rider, including the Derney pacer, had a red top and black shorts.
Yeah, so still low. Oh, the crash there. Didn't quite see what happened, but the race will continue.
Just goes to show how easily a touch of wheels can take yourself and another rider down.
What's the constant looking around, isn't it?
Yeah.
Glasgow rider and Sport City rider Alou and Frank's no longer part of this. I think it was just a case of looking around, touch of wheels, and that's you down. Nothing you can do. So 3 riders left on the track, and it's low from Phillips. All the 3 riders in black. Cooper at the back. So Lowe, Phillips, and Cooper in that order still, as they come up to the 2 laps to go marker. So still Lowe, Phillips and Cooper. Phillips thinking about it out the saddle, but deciding, sitting back down again. Lowe still on the front. Lowe, Phillips and Cooper, and Cooper comes over the top from the back. Big effort down the outside, goes into second place, but it's still Lowe on the fronts. Phillips is out of this, so Lowe and Cooper, and Lowe at the bottom of the track, but it's Cooper showing his power down the finishing straight for Team Terminator that takes that. So Daniel Cooper for Team Terminator will progress into the semi-final. Unfortunately, the others won't be progressing, so will no longer feature in this competition, but that was a close call between Ed Lowe and Daniel Cooper.
Yeah, strong one from Cooper there. Another strong
Just watching this here, Rebecca, sorry.
Yeah, see what
looking
happens.
looking behind, just comes up, touch of the wheel, brings the Glasgow rider down. Glasgow are not having a good day, are they?
Oh, that's so unfortunate.
But it's just looking behind, that's what they do, they're looking back.
To go into
just
that
maybe
though.
slightly a little bit of inexperience. You know, if you're looking around, you should be actually leaving a bit more of a gap in front. So yeah, unfortunate, and Glasgow, I said, not having the greatest day, having 2 riders crash out of the keirin.
Yeah, and you could just see what happened before the touch of wheels was kind of coming down whilst looking backwards onto the Côte d'Azur. And for anyone that hasn't ridden on this sort of nature of the board, actually the transition between the Côte d'Azur, depending on what speed you're doing, and the actual wood of the track can really throw you off, especially if you're looking behind. And it's actually a drill that we used to
Flips you up,
have.
doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a really sharp transition actually, and again, just depending on your speed, it can just take you down if you put your wheel in the wrong position. And yeah, we used to have it drilled into us to actually do in training sessions on a Saturday morning, to ride looking over our shoulder and just learn to get a feel for where that gap should be.
Just talk us through it.
Yeah, so you'll probably see in a moment as he starts to looks over his shoulder, and then you can just see how he comes down. He's onto the Côte d'Azur, and then actually, yeah, rather than that transition, it's the clipping of the wheel as he sort of throws himself slightly back up the track, and unfortunately for the rider behind, absolutely, of course, nothing he could do.
But when you come down onto that Côte d'Azur, it throws you back up.
It flicks you, yeah.
So moving on to repechage heat 5, we have Jack Cruden. So another opportunity for Glasgow here. Ewan Davis, Philip Lomas, Bo Mayer, Harry Bradford. So one more after this. The winner progresses to the semi-final. So Arthur will take the hot seat, or the box seat, behind the Dernick, followed by Harrod, and then Pearson. Oh, sorry, that's DiMaggio, that's Baker will be in 3rd place. So Arthur, Harrod, Baker, black line rider Wybrow at the back. And we have movement already. So still Arthur behind the bike. This one looks a little bit more spicy. waiting for the Derny to pull off. As it pulls off, 3 laps to go. Cruden still in the front, still a bit cagey.
Yeah, this is winding up a little bit differently, isn't it, to previous repechage heats? Cagey, looking at each other, and no one going straight for that long flyer.
And it's Meyer of Enhanced, just in the grey. He starts to accelerate, but Cruden wants to keep the front spots. The bell goes, so it's Meyer trying to go down the long way, but it's Glasgow rider Cruden is taking this on one from the front, and it's Cruden from Meyer as they push out now. It's not going to happen, so Glasgow do have their day. Jack Cruden goes through to the semi-finals for the Glasgow Racing Club. So we see this here, and Cruden decided not to get involved with anything, takes it on from the front and manages to hold off the enhanced rider Bo Mayer.
Well, that's another element, isn't it, Brian? Actually taking it on from the front, albeit it maybe having to go slightly long, keeps you predominantly out of danger, because when there's a touch of wheels and underlap and overlap, it tends to all go horribly wrong and tumble down towards the back of the pack. So yeah, if you're staying up front, you're staying out of trouble most of the time. But something that we didn't really have time to go into earlier with these heats coming through thick and fast was actually when the rider was looking over his shoulder in the previous repechage round and took a tumble. He was underlapping the wheel in front as well, which exacerbated it, because of course as he got flicked up by the Côte d'Azur, there was absolutely nothing he could do, nowhere to go. And if you overlap a wheel, of course you can always move slightly up, but when you're underlapping a wheel, that's a real dangerous place to be.
Now we have the final repechage, Heat 6. We have Lewis Arthur, Thomas Baker, Finn Harrod, Jack Pearson and Jack Wybrow. I think in the previous round I was getting mixed up with the repechage 5 and 6 riders. I think I got there in the end. And do you think with the Glasgow riders crashing and seeing what's happened, do you think Cruden decided that he played these tactics from the front?
I think it depends how much you're looking around. I mean, we talked about it earlier, whether you allow external factors to come in, but when you're looking and watching your teammates, it might have been a factor, because you're going to look at how previous heats are playing out, look at your competitors who you might come up against later in the competition, and unfortunate moves happened in front of his teammates, and so yeah, he probably took himself out of trouble as much as he possibly could, and also really wanted to fight to get through to boot. 5 laps to go now, and I know we've got more people joining the coverage throughout the day, so welcome, thanks for joining us. And this is not a game of chance here in terms of what the Derny's doing. It's a game of chance in some respects as to the position you draw, but this Derny will take the riders up to around 50 kilometres an hour now. You can just see him pedalling the motorised vehicle on the track. Such a quirk of track cycling, and it allows him to just incrementally increase that to 50k an hour, and you start to see the riders look around, think about their tactics, and with 3 laps to go, he will peel off and the race is on.
Well, we had 5 supposedly on the start line. We only have 4. Jack Wybrow of Black Line not participating, but we have Pearson on the front, followed by Baker. So it's Pearson and Baker from Harrods, with Arthur at the back. Lewis Arthur is the rider at the back. So Baker making his move down the outside. They'll come up with 2 laps to go, still a long way out, and Harrods now in second place. Arthur goes into thirds now, down the back straights into turn 3. We'll be soon with 1 lap to go, and it's Harrod on the front. Baker on the front, sorry. Harrod's in second place with Arthur, and now Harrod makes his move in the black down the outside. Arthur follows. Arthur going the long way around. Can Glasgow get 2 in the semi-final? No, they can't. It's the ride of Finn Harrod that steals that one. So Finn Harrod, the man in the all black, will go into the semi-final. And unfortunately for Arthur, Baker and Pearson, they will no longer be part of this competition.
And you can see how much the banking and the transitions affect the approach to a keirin, can't you? Because, it's one thing a rider getting into a position where they're in pole position, they can take it on from the front. If you can hold that, then that is a really dangerous move for everybody else. It's a brilliant place to be. However, as you come out of the banking with the riders on the outside taking the long way round, of course, the transition into the home straight allows them to pick up a lot more speed coming onto that sort of flatter straight, if you like. So that's why we see so many people get rolled on the line as we just did.
So he seems happy with that one. Finn Harrod.
No easy rides in these keirin rounds, are there? No such thing.
Time to relax again. Yep, happy with that.
Kylie Manners there, I think. Coach. Just having a little debrief in the track centre.
You're going to have to do it all again in the semi-final.
Yeah, just pop out there, do it again. Yeah.
There he is, Ernie.
Let's do it.
Give us a wave, Ernie. Always professional.
Yeah, he's focused.
Yeah. Had a wee look in his box here. See the gear tables? See the coloured gear tables in his box?
What's he got in there?
Yeah, he showed me that. He went through it with me. All the different gears. See the colours? He's got it all matched out. You were asking about a gear table.
Oh, is that the gear table?
Yes.
Conversion table. I love it.
Conversions, everything.
Yeah, we were having this chat, weren't we? We like to geek out over gearing, and I was referring to gears as sort of, I perhaps would have ridden something like a 96-inch, but then what combinations are you looking at? So yeah, he's got a conversion chart there to quickly sort the riders out with what they need, and of course different gears for different disciplines, but overall in the sport, these gears just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, which is why you just see, how much effort it takes in a timed event for them to get out the start gate and get on terms with those gears, but the times, of course, tumbling, getting faster and faster as a result.
Just looking there at the team pursuit, we had the qualifying earlier today. We've seen some of the bikes being brought out into the track, so we will have the bronze medal ride off, and that will be Fensham House against VCA Londres. In the gold and silver medal you have Joe Holt, you will have Team Wales and Team East Midlands. Just on the track there in the longs with the black t-shirt is a rider I used to race with, Mike Twelves. Married a Scottish girl, Susan Horn, now Susan Twelves, and their son is actually racing here. Had a quick chat with him last night. He's actually a Masters World Champion, he was telling me. So, Fensham House, Mass Design, Alex Belden, Matthew Brennan, Jed Smithson and Ben Wiggins, son of Sir Bradley. In the back straight, VC Londres, Ed Bowley, Luke Goodwill, Owen Prenell and Connor Williams.
Yeah, VCL was my local London club for a very long time, and I was racing and riding and training a lot at Herne Hill Velodrome, and many people will have seen the provenance of this club because it's nurtured so much talent that's now made it into the world tour ranks on the road and the track. At Oscar Nilsson Julian started his journey at VCL, so did Fred Wright, Ethan Hayter. Showing my age, I remember them when they were very small indeed, but what a wealth of talent.
The only unfortunate thing for me is that I live not too far away from the, where they're based, and I see them out training and I can't keep up with them. That's the problem. They come flying by me. I can't even get the wheel.
It's not a slow VC Londres club, but yeah, they're back on terms now. But you don't want to be wasting that energy, and it's worth saying that we've had qualification rounds to get to this point. So yeah, a lot has taken place before we came on air.
Well, Fensham House are absolutely flying. They actually can see them at the end of the finishing straight. So that was a very ragged start from VC Londres. I think they lost at least 1.5 seconds, and Fensham House are flying along and eating into the gap between them and VC Londres. So we could actually be witnessing a catch here for the bronze medal ride. In fact, I think we will see a catch. And soon as that front rider overlaps the back wheel of the VC Londres, the gun will go off and we will see that catch. VC Londres just been shown the red flag, and that red flag is out there to beware, you're about to be caught, and that catch is made. And Fensham House of Alex Belden, Matthew Brennan, Jed Smith and Ben Wiggins takes the bronze medal here at the National Pursuit Championships. That was quick.
It was very quick. I was going to say, you know, a very ragged start, unfortunately, for VC Londres. We saw a gap there. It didn't go to plan for them, but equally, you know, the ride that the Fensham House Mass Design were putting in there was incredibly neat from start to the point where they made the catch. And of course, you know, many teams would go in with a plan of trying to make that catch, and once they were in their sights, well, it was all out to do that. I did wonder if they'd keep going, perhaps. I know a lot of riders are looking at bigger targets in the year beyond this, as well as what they're targeting here, and some people like to continue after the gun to record a time, but job done there. And what a superb ride.
Yeah, the catch was done. Oh, it's gone again. It was 1 minute and 42 seconds, I think it was, the catch. So it didn't take long for the team of Fensham House, including Alex Belden, Matthew Brennan, Jed Smithson and Ben Wiggins. Like you were saying, Rebecca, I didn't expect that. I really didn't expect that. When you consider earlier on today, Fensham House did a 4:13 and VC Londres, 4:13 up against a 4:43. Yeah, so there was quite a bit of a difference in the time of these timings that we're seeing are correct. So we're into the golds and the silver medal ride off. This is between Team Wales, Joe Holt, Harvey McNaughton, Will Roberts and Josh Tarling. Just been reminded from Magnus Backstead that Josh Tarling's still a junior. We have to remind everybody, a junior rider, under 18. He's already a national champion in the points yesterday. Can he double up here?
Just makes it even more impressive in perspective, doesn't it?
Well, they are up against Team East Midlands, the young guns from the British Cycling Academy, the under-23 guys. Jack Bruff, Kyle Gordon, Will Perrott and Tom Ward.
We're in for a treat here. I think we can expect some impressive rides from this Team Pursuit gold and silver medal ride off.
Well, we're looking at a team in the qualifying, you're looking at just over 3 seconds to the favour of Team Wales, so that's quite significant. So we're expecting Team Wales, including the junior Josh Tarling with the red stripes in his helmets, to take the title, but you have to get everything right. You cannot become complacent.
You can't, and we have seen team pursuit formations fall apart at the Olympic Games. We're not just saying it can happen with people lacking experience. When you get to this top level, when people are riding off the gold medals and the adrenaline is absolutely pumping, you've got to get everything right in body and mind, it can go wrong. You can leave gaps. You sometimes have a schedule, a plan that you're going to lose a certain rider, but gaps can form, and we've seen riders have to anticipate very, very quickly, because of course what you don't want to do is end up with two riders and one person split across the track, because that's going to lose the medal.
With the coach on the track for Team Wales, this is Commonwealth Games year. This is Rob Partridge, who is walking the line. They are on schedule, so he's pointed to the line, so they are exactly on schedule. And I wonder what that schedule is. We talked about the Commonwealth Games, talking about maybe setting standards, setting times. They already set a 4:01, 4:67. So are they trying to go under the 4-minute mark? They're just slightly down in the schedule because he's just stepped past the line. So if they are looking for a better time, or they just want to secure the gold medal, but they are looking for a better time, they might go a little bit deeper.
Yeah, and it is worth mentioning that there's a medal up, a gold medal and a silver medal up for stakes here, and a championship jersey, or set of them, for the team pursuit squad. But they're also looking at their bigger targets, and if you look at the British record, 3:45, 6:36, that's by Ethan Hayter, Charlie Townfield, Ethan Vernon, Ollie Wood at the Olympic Games. And these riders may well want to be looking at exactly what time they can put down, and that's a very important element as well for them.
Well, we're almost halfway, and East Midlands are in the lead for the moment. Jack Brough, Kyle Gordon, Will Perrott and Tom Ward. Not a lot in it, 0.705. So halfway in this competition, and Wales with Rob Partridge just pointed to the line, so they are on schedule. So is this a measured ride? Did East Midlands go out that bit quicker, but it's still 0.756 of a second?
Just worth quickly pointing out, when we're talking about the coach, you can see his feet, you can see where he's stepping, and when he's exactly on that line, it means they are riding to the exact schedule. You can just see Rob Partridge looking very calm there, because they've made this pre-plan. They have aero helmets on, they're in the TT position. They're very hard to hear and see what's going on when you're just absolutely on the rivet and everything's going into putting in the time in the team pursuit. So they'll be looking at his feet. Which way is he walking? Are they up? Are they down? Are they exactly where they need to be?
Well, this is going to go into their final kilometre. Still East Midlands up, and Wales have got something to do, and they've lost one rider already. So have East Midlands. We're talking about Wales set the fastest time in the qualifying, but East Midlands are absolutely flying. But Wales are coming back here. This is a real old school team pursuit competition, down to 3 riders each, not a lot between them, 0.7. This is going to come down to the last couple of laps, Rebecca.
They can lose one rider, both team down to 3 now, a completely pre-planned legal move. They can finish with 3 riders, and both have got into this position now, and then it's all the way to the line for these final 3.
Well, I'm getting goosebumps in this one. We're down to 2 laps to go now, and Wales have still got a bit to do. They're starting to come back now. It's still 0.8. East Midlands are looking good for this title, but Wales are pushing hard to come back. We're going to be very close. This is going to go down to the wire, 0.495. East Midlands still in the lead, but Wales are coming back, 0.136. This is going to come down to the final lap. We are on the back straight for Wales. It's going to be nip and tuck, and it is 0.4. Wales are now taking, and Wales are in the lead. They are coming good. They're coming. They're hitting the line. They have got the championship. 4:00.597. They take the title on the final lap. Wow. That was old school team sprinting. Fantastic.
I said we were in for a treat. That did not disappoint. How close was that? Joe Holt just whacking his chest there. Oh my goodness. Oh, job done.
Just listen to that crowd.
Exciting. Yeah.
The crowd are on their feet. That was so exciting. When I said I had goosebumps, it came down to the final lap there.
That's what we want to see. Yeah, that's what we want to see. And look at the finesse with that final as well, when every, not second, every margin of a split second counts as they get the Welsh flag out to fly it on their victory lap now. Everything went right, but what a ride from both teams, and it came down to the wire, and that's why we love team pursuiting so much.
Can I just say that, you know, that is a great time, 4:00.597, but in qualifying, Team East Midlands done a 4:04.7. They went quicker. They went 4:01.487. Right, so they really took it to Wales. They both went down to 3 riders, and wow, that was a really exciting finish. And you know, the Welsh, they have to be proud. You know, winning that in sensational manner there, coming down to the last 250 metres. What a cracking finish, and well done, Wales.
Oh, what a cracking finish. We want to be on the edge of our seat with a team pursuit, and that we were there. But I think to pull a ride like that out, when you say, you look down the list, you look at qualifying times, and actually what people can do when it's a final, when it's a head-to-head, when they're absolutely pushed to their limit, the crowd are roaring, they don't know which way it's going to go, and you somehow find more in the tank. But the other element is teammates, which is something we've discussed throughout the day. Rob Partridge, just a little tap on the back there. They're very delighted, understandably, with that ride. But yeah, Lewis Oliva there as well, hugs all round. But to come into a final, to have the buzz of the crowd, the pressure on your shoulders, it can make people dig deep and deep and deep. And actually, to see the margins that were picked up from qualifying, that was quite a big one.
When you look at qualifying, Team Wales are favourites. You know, over 3.5 seconds. You know, they were favourites, but both teams went faster. This was the final. Both teams gave their all. And you have to do this in qualifying, of course, but you just see what it means to Team Wales. This is Commonwealth Games, we remind. Jack Talon is still a junior, big lads, big power, and delivers it. Rob Partridge I was talking about, I managed him with Enduro Racing. Now he's doing everything at Welsh cycling, and he's such a likeable guy, knowledgeable, and you know, he must have been... He must have been biting his nails on that, because that came down to the wire. What a great advert for domestic team sprinting.
You say that, and I know that he would have been, but how calm was he? Because he's walking the line, he's stood there. You know, it's all about the coach bringing calm from the side of the track. And something else we discussed was whether or not yelling split times, whether having an iPad in the rider eye line is the way to go. But I think, you know, just having to calmly step, keeping check with the schedule. He wasn't jumping around there because he didn't have the opportunity to, but internally I bet that was a bit of a nail-biting moment for Rob Partridge.
I don't know where I'm at. I really enjoyed the points race yesterday with Josh Talent. That was incredible. I'm not going to tell anything about it. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it. But yeah, I'm not too sure. I think I have to say that team pursuit final just maybe shaved it for me. The excitement, you know, how it went. It was on paper that was a big difference, just over 3 seconds. But it is the final, it is nationals, and what a cracking race it was. Just looking at Sophie Langford, just trying to have a gel now. Back to the Welsh. Yeah, fantastic advert.
Well, you're in the commentary box with a heavily pregnant co-com, and so you're doing the jumping around for both of us. Albeit me just as excited and seated.
The medals and jersey will be presented by Kevin Ward, Vice Chairman of Newport Live.
So moving on to the ceremony of the 500 time trial, and the bronze going to Emma Finnegan of Team Wales with a time of 34.715.
Silver medal representing the Black Line, Lauren Bell.
The silver medal representing Black Line is Lauren Bell and Scotland, of course, 34.584. And the winner for the second successful day for Ellie Stone, taking her second national title, the keirin yesterday, and now the 500 metre time trial from Black Line, and also from Scotland. 34.529. Wales may have had their day in the team pursuits, but Scotland have had their day here in the 500 metre time trial. So Ellie Stone, another proud moment. So double British champion here at the national champs.
Look at that. Soak it up. Soak up every moment.
Come join me. Lauren Bell, the silver, and Emma Finnegan for Wales with the bronze medal. Some excellent performances in the 500 metre time trial. And if you can just bear with us one moment, we will actually have a chat to Ellie for the second day in a row. See what she's got to say.
I'm looking forward to this one.
So riding for Black Line and also Scotland.
Yep.
We're going to hear from Ellie Stone.
Ellie, congratulations. Second gold medal of the weekend. How's it been for you?
Oh, so good. I wasn't expecting that one at all. I didn't even realise I won it. I just saw the time. Because I was aiming for qualification, so I knew I needed a 34.7, and I was getting 34.8 like constantly each week, and I was like, come on, I need a 10. So that was just, I managed to get it. So good.
Great, well done. There was almost nothing separating gold, silver and bronze. Were you expecting that tougher competition?
Well, I wasn't even expecting to be in the competition, to be fair. There's such strong girls. So yeah, just to be up amongst them, it's so good. I've got work tomorrow, and I was like texting my boyfriend, like, oh my god, guys, you don't know, guess what happened?
Back to earth with a bump. Well done, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, well done, Ellie Stone. And I was just getting a message there from Evan Oliphant, the manager. She has got, to put this into perspective, double national champion here. She's got to be at work tomorrow at 9 AM at Tesco. She has absolutely no funding. We talked about, having professional riders and semi-professional and amateur riders here riding at the championships. She has to work to be able to fund what she's doing. And I think what she's done is absolutely top class.
Yeah, you can tell I'm a little bit speechless, and I think that's the element we have noted and loved so far about this year's National Track Championships, isn't it? That it gives riders an opportunity to show what they can do. And we said yesterday, the question on our lips was, did she surprise herself, by taking the double victory? Well, yesterday's victory and then backing it up today. But she did just say in that interview, well, I didn't even know I'd won. I didn't even know I was in contention. And that level of modesty from someone that's just put out not just one performance but two performances as she has. She's a mighty impressive athlete who I've no doubt will go from strength to strength and hopefully increase that support that she gets now. But it is worth noting that when you are looking at the British Nationals, you've got riders in here who have got careers to go back to, who've got jobs to get up for on a Monday morning, and they're still able to put that level in. So just imagine how far they can go when they become full-time.
If those spectators just look up to the scoreboards, they can actually see themselves.
I love that moment when people spot themselves. That was us earlier.
No, you don't want us. Just goes to show that the mixture that we've got here, it is tough. And I know when I was younger, I was lucky I had mum and dad to be able to fund me, and that's what you need. We talk about the big teams and the big funding, but sometimes I'm not going to say the lower end, because these are national championships. There are talent out there that have to do it on their own. So we do move on to the team pursuit medal ceremony. It was only finished about 5 minutes ago, if that.
The medals and jerseys will be presented by Kevin. chairman of Newport Live.
So the men's team pursuit awards ceremony here at the 2022 National Track Championships here in Newport in South Wales. And the bronze medal, won emphatically, goes to Fensham House, MES Design, Alex Belden, Matthew Brennan, Jed Smithson and Ben Wiggins.
Winners of the silver medal, Team East Midlands, Jack Bruff, Kyle Gordon.
And the silver medal going to Team East Midlands, Jack Bruff, Kyle Gordon, Will Perrott and Tom Ward.
Winners of the gold
and
medal,
the gold medal,
National Track Champions, Team Wales, Jack
Team Wales, so Rhys Britton, Joe Holt, Harvey McNaughton and Will Roberts. I'm going to correct that because the information I've just been given, the gold medal, Team Wales, it's Joe Holt, Harvey McNaughton, Will Roberts and Josh Tarling. As you hear, I've just thrown that away.
Please congratulate your national championship medalists.
Joe Holt, Harvey McNaughton, Will Roberts and Josh Tarling for Team Wales, the new national champions. East Midlands take the silver and Fensham House for MES Design will take the bronze. And I'm so looking forward to this interview. I think it's been a while since I think Wales have won the national championships at Team Pursuit.
But also when you get the podium presentation and post-race interviews near to them coming fresh off the track, that emotion's always there, a lot more rawly, isn't it? And yeah, excited for this one. We'll hear from them in a moment.
Yeah, it was a really exciting final. If you
Will
didn't
Roberts
watch it
there
with us, then where have you been? You've missed it all. But Alistair is now with the gold medalists.
Congratulations, guys. Talk us through the race and the tactics from your point of view.
I think we wanted to go out to get a sub 4, and I think it was about controlling things from the start, and towards the back end we then wanted to push it on and just use everything we had in the tank.
Great stuff. Were you worried that you guys weren't going to catch them, or were you confident you were going to win the race?
Well, we had our coach walking the line, how far down or up we were at the end, so yeah, I was flapping a bit, but yeah, I mean, you can't control what they're going to do, so you just got to go as hard as you possibly can and then see what happens. So. Great,
and there was a huge cheer from the crowd there, a popular win. How good does it feel to be national champions here in Newport?
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, it was incredible.
Really good.
Really good.
Well, great, well done, congratulations, enjoy the rest of the weekend. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, man.
Yeah, I think what I got from that interview is, I think that's what we mentioned. It's, you know, do they go out and try and go down sub 4, which was the plan, but when you try to go sub 4, do you get that pacing right? They wanted to kind of put that marker down for the Commonwealth Games coming up. They came up a little bit short, but I just think, you know, the team that finished in second place, East Midlands, I think they stepped up more than anything.
Yeah, they, as you pointed out, they stepped up by a huge margin if you look at their qualification time versus what they did in that final, with the heat on them, you know, and the crowds on them and the pressure of it being a final and a gold, silver medal ride-off. But it's only well, it's not only the pacing, the schedule that you need for pursuit, it's a team pursuit. As you can see, the fine line between getting it right and wrong in terms of flicking back down in time onto the back wheel. Of course, a lot of training goes in at this level to win a national championships, to drill it to absolute perfection, but it is something that takes so much work and can easily, as we've seen time and time again in the past, fall apart. So yeah, they'll be very, very relieved that you know, they came in with a target and they've gone away ultimately with 4 very lovely jerseys on their shoulders, national champions.
So as others relax, others warm up, we are moving on to the men's keirin. I think Jack Carlin has fallen asleep as he yawns there. Somebody will have to wake him up because he'll be going in the second semi-final. But the first of the semi-finals, we'll see Finn Harrod, Ryan Lakewood from SES Racing, Hayden Norris, Team Inspired, Matthew Roper from Black Line, Matt Rotherham from Sports City Velo, Hamish Turnbull again of Team Inspired,
and this is now the keirin semi-finals for the men. We've seen riders come straight through from heat number 1 to ride in this. We've seen riders having to come the hard way through the back door, as we like to call it, for the repechage, but nobody got an easy pass so far. We've got 6 laps to go, the Derny taking to the front to start winding the pace up to around 50 kilometres an hour. That's the keirin rule, a very traditional sport. The riders will draw a playing card, it will tell them where they need to sit behind that Derny, and that's the order they line up in and drop down, and they won't come round that Derny until he pulls off with 3 laps to go.
So Lakewood for SES in the reds, and then we have the first of the Team Inspired riders, and that's Norris, Sports City Rotherham in 3rd place, then Team Inspired rider of Turnbull, and then we get the riders in black towards the back, Black Line of Roper. At the back you have Finn Harrod, and this is all about finishing in the top 3. The top 3 will go to contest the gold, silver and bronze. So do you want to put everything down and guarantee? Do you want to save something? 3 in, 3 out. Rotherham watching from the flyer, Harrod coming up in the black. It's still Lakewood on the front. So Lakewood decides to go for it. He goes early, and now comes Rotherham. Rotherham is 2nd place, followed by the 2 Inspired riders. Roper at the back there, but it's still Lakewood. And now Rotherham comes with the 2 Inspired riders. Still a bit to do. Both of them may get into this final. Looks as if they are. Rotherham guaranteeing this one with Turnbull and Norris going through. So both Team Inspired riders of Turnbull and Norris, with Matt Rotherham, Sports City, going through to the final. So we'll see them later on today, this afternoon. Harrod, Lakewood and Roper will then go into the ride-off for the minor places.
A lot of green up front there, wasn't there? And I spoke to, as we see him now, just unleashing the power. And yeah, I chatted to Matt Rotherham yesterday, well, actually 2 days ago, and said, how's the form? How's the preparation coming in? And he just gave me this massive grin. And I thought, yeah, I think he's probably going pretty well.
I think this is a competition now between Jack Carlin and Rotherham, by the looks of things. You talked about green. We've got 3 more in Team Inspired in the next heat. Oh, please don't have an all-green final.
I think I can't lie to you, Brian. I think it might be shaping up to be an all-green final. But yeah, you asked me the question, didn't you? Do I wish that we'd seen Matt Rotherham battling out the match sprints, and him and Jack Carlin coming to head-to-head? I think would be a very entertaining one, and the crowds here in the Geraint Thomas Velodrome would be in for a treat.
So we have James Bunting, Jack Carlin, Daniel Cooper, James Cruden, Harry Lednam-Horn and Joseph Truman. Joseph Truman coming back after he was relegated from dangerous riding in the previous heat. So 3 riders in green with Team Inspired. You can always spot the man out from Paisley, of course, on his Lotus Hope bike. Second in from the fence.
What did you think of the Lotus bike when you first saw the design?
A bit strange back into it, but I've never ridden one. I don't know how it rides, and I've not heard any kind of feedback from anybody else regarding it.
So we're talking about the Olympic design, the Lotus Hope bike that Jack Carlin's riding at the moment, and it's a fascinating one to look at because I must admit when I first saw it unveiled I thought, how can this possibly be aero, because we've been trying to go narrower and narrower over the years. But actually I was speaking to Mike Burrows, the engineer at Lotus, be a familiar name via Chris Boardman for many people when we talk about Lotus bikes, but it's a direct alignment of where the rider's legs are in line with the rear stays, and it increases aerodynamic gain, which is something that bucks a trend of so many bike designs that we've seen before, and the riders absolutely loved it, and it paid off in Japan. Tokyo, forgive me.
So Joe Truman,
Japan, because we're talking about Keirin,
is the rider on the bike. Team Terminator have Cooper, and then we have Bunting. So Truman, Cooper, Bunting, the Glasgow rider Cruden, Jack Carling at the back, Ledingham-Horn from Blackline. So Truman at the front. He always likes to take these one on from the front. However, the last time he was at the back, dipped down a little bit too early. Jack Carlin towards the back as the Glasgow rider Cruden moves up around the outside. Truman still wants to keep that inside position. Cruden following, but Jack Carlin not taking anything but chance. The top 3 will go through to the final. The other 3 will go through to the minor. So Inspired in 1, 2, 3 positions for the moment. Can anybody beat them? Shoulder to shoulder in third place there. Still shoulder to shoulder, and one of them has been pushed out. It looks like Bunting is pushed out, so this will be Jack Carlin, Truman and Cooper through to the final, with Bunting pushed out there. So a good ride from the Team Terminator rider gets in the mix there. Daniel Cooper manages to hold the bottom of the track and keep Bunting out. It looked as if it was going to be top 3 here. See Jack Carlin making the move.
Ride from Cooper.
Yeah, he's stuck in the bottom of the track at the moment, but he holds it. He decides that he's not going to go the long way. He holds down the bottom. You've got Jack Carlin, Truman, Bunting comes down, but he manages to muscle his way out there, Daniel Cooper, and goes through to the final. So he has got a chance, but he's up against 4 Inspired riders. So a good bit of riding there from Daniel Cooper, because he was blocked in the bottom of the track, but he stayed calm, stayed inside the sprinters line. It opened up for him, and he's through to the final. So Carlin, Truman, Cooper will go through to the final. Bunting, Cruden, Ledingham-Horn will go through to the minor placing final later on.
Yeah, very gutsy ride there, and just showed his track craft to hold his nerve, as you say, because I think when you feel like you're boxed in, there might not be a door that's opening. It would be quite easy to think, right, I'm going to have to back off and go the long way round, which, you know, wouldn't have paid off so well for him. Would give him a lot of work to do. But yeah, Team Terminator rider Cooper there, just taking every chance that he could and holding his nerve, and it's got him through.
So we now move on to the women's team pursuit. Team sprint, sorry. The women's team sprint.
So our team sprint finalists. 2 heats initially, which will decide places 5th through to 7th base.
And we will have 3 teams that will battle it out for 5th, 6th and 7th.
Heat 2 will be the home straight at Glasgow Track.
2 heats. The first heat will have Lauren Booth, Amanda Carlson, Kerry Nadine of PDQ in the yellow. And in the heat 2 we'll have a Glasgow Track against SES. And this will be all about the time, fastest time across both heats. We'll take 5th, 2nd fastest 6th and 3rd fastest 7th.
Well, the start gate is back out. The women's team sprint continues, and this is an event, one of many, many events that I love on the track. And we used to see for the women that it would take place with 2 riders across 500 metres. That has changed to bring parity with the men's event as we get this heat underway, and they now ride. Oh, bit of a false start there. PDQ-CC, not entirely sure what happened there, and of course no second chances in this event. You've got to get out of that gate and into formation straight away. There's absolutely no time, so yeah, I'm not entirely sure what happened to go wrong with that start, but not what we want to see, and especially not what the riders want to have happen at this point in the competition. So for anyone just joining us who hasn't been with us throughout the duration of the last couple of days, we've seen the men's team sprint competition conclude, and this is indeed the event where each rider does a lap, peels off, and that is job done for them. Unfortunately for PDQ-CC, really not the start they wanted. We'll probably have a little look back, hopefully, at what went wrong at the beginning there.
Yeah, it wasn't perfect, was it? Here we see, just coming out the start gate there, rider 2 pulls the foot out the left hand pedal there. Yeah. And there's nothing you can do there. No. They had to continue on. It was a mistake of the rider, not making sure she was 100% clipped in, and unfortunately they're finishing with a time of just over 1 minute, which for me I think will put them in 7th place. Just watch again, the second rider pulls the foot out, wasn't secured in, has to clip in. He can't do anything there. The only thing you can do there, it's a little bit naughty, is
I know where you're going with this, is throw yourself off. You didn't hear that here. Yeah, I mean,
I did.
we have seen some riders after mechanical or a foot pull out crash onto the floor and get a restart. Not something that team went for there, but yeah, let's not dive too much into that one. But I think I sort of have been picking up on little elements of how a rider prepares, and I always notice if people have what I would refer to as old school clips and straps, but essentially a strap over the pedal and the shoe, as well as having their feet clipped in. And ultimately for me, as someone that really gets a little bit nervous that things are going to go right on the day, well, I say currently, many moons ago when I did used to race, I wanted everything to go right, so I would have gone belt and braces or clips and straps and clips just to make sure when you pull up on the pedals, and of course you're putting such an immense amount of power to get the gear going out the gate, or even in that case rider number 2, you don't want that foot coming out because you've just seen what can happen.
So on to E2, we have on the home street Glasgow Track Racing Club, Georgia Holt, Rebecca Howards, Sylvia Mistel in the back straight in the black. We have Yolanda Adesida, Emily Burgess and Anna Whitworth-Haight. Yolanda Adesida was actually holding up one of her companions in the men's keirin earlier on today. So 3 laps of the track. The rider in the gate will do the first lap as fast as possible. Not the best start from Glasgow. And a bit of a slow start there from the Glasgow rider, Rebecca Howard. But looking at SAS Racing, there's a lot of space to the back rider. So 1 lap each. Glasgow now looking better shape now. It's a big gap to Yolanda Adesida now. She's got a lot to do coming on to the last lap, so this looks good for the Glasgow club. The last rider is on her way and she will set the fastest time, and it looks as if Glasgow will take this 5th place. Yolanda Adesida just going through a picture now up to the finishing line, a 51.848. So Glasgow track, and a good effort there from Sylvia Mistel, but Yolanda Adesida just finishes there, 54.955. So it will be a nice 5th place for the Glasgow track team. Not the best start, but they finished it off well.
Yeah, I know that there's riders in here that will be very disappointed, you know, with having sort of made any mistakes in this stage in the competition. And you know, as these riders do, they go away, they analyse, they look at what might have happened differently. And there's a lot of video analysis now, especially we've got much more coverage that people can look back on. But I know video analysis is something that the riders like to do now, just to really regroup before the next competition.
So they're confirmed, Glasgow track, SAS Racing, PDQ, so that will be 5th, 6th and 7th in the championship. We will have the bronze medal ride-off and the gold and silver medal ride-off. The bronze will be between Team Scotland and Team Wales B. The gold and silver will be between Team Brace and Team Wales. So you can see Evan Oliphant, the coach. And it looks as if Lucia Steele is going to be the last rider on the outside for Team Scotland. So they entered 4. They have 3 on the start line. And Wales also entering 4, Wales B. Only 3 to ride. So this is for the bronze medal.
We have Team Scotland, and the gate is Iona Moore, second rider Laura Bell, and third rider Lucia Steele. Proposing the max rate are Wales Team B. The gate is Sweden.
It looks like Ellie Stone, double champion, is not riding in the Scotland team. Lauren Bell, Iona Moyer and Lucia Steele. So this is for the bronze medal. It's Scotland against Wales. Who is going to get this fastest start? And Scotland up by 0.192. Can they keep this going? First rider gone, so still 0.169 in favour of Scotland. Wales got an answer to this. No, still moving in the direction of Scotland as we come up to the final lap. Can Lucia Steele bring this one home for Scotland? She goes down the back straight. She increases that to 0.4. So looking good for Scotland to take the bronze medal. Lucia Steele coming out. Turn 4 hits the line. And it's a bronze medal for Scotland with a time of 48.918. 1 second faster than Wales. So a strong ride from Scotland, give them that bronze medal. They'll be happy with that. 4 riders, swapping the riders around. But Lucia Steele has to be happy with that. She came in and rode this morning in qualifying, then rode the 500 time trial, and now is out there doing another 3 laps of the track to win Scotland that bronze medal.
Yeah, we've seen rides not get off to the best start, with riders probably regretfully having a bit of a ragged formation, but that's what happens when it goes right. And the team sprint is such a fast, short event, but so much can happen, as we've seen so far in this competition. But yeah, stunning ride there. And of course, after coming through many heats and many battles, you know, it makes that moment on the podium for these riders all the more special.
So we're going to move on to the gold and silver ride-off. Team Breeze against Team Wales. England against Wales. We did say earlier on, if you weren't listening, that the coaches across England, Scotland and Wales have decided that they wanted to use their, kind of have the teams with the Commonwealth Games coming up. They would maybe not select the best ones for, you know, the academy or Team Breeze. They would want to have an English team, a Welsh team and a Scotland team, to give them that opportunity to ride together in a major competition, which will help them further down the line in Birmingham.
We're doing our best to hopefully pick out the kits and do a bit of an explainer, as Brian just has, as to the sort of composition of these teams, because we quite often in international competition will see you know, GB riders, but we're seeing a national championships here where riders are often in different team kits to what we might normally see them in. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to hold your hand through a little bit of that. A lot of red kits. We've got the Welsh, as you can see here, and in a very similar looking skin suit is Team Breeze on the other side of the track. But yeah, it is Team Breeze versus Team Wales.
So Team Breeze, Sophie Capewell, Blaine Ridge Davis, Millie Tanner. On the home straight and the back straight we have Team Wales, Rhian Edmonds, Emma Finnegan and Lowry Thomas. 2 very strong teams. I feel for Rhian Edmonds a little bit. She's done a lot of competition over the last couple of days, 2 or 3 days. She is the new sprint champion. So Breeze against Team Wales, 3 laps of the track. And away they go. All about getting up to speed, and both teams well off that start gate.
Rider 1 out the start gate, absolutely everything. They'll throw everything at this, and then the riders behind get on terms, rush that gap, as we like to say, and then it is on with one rider coming off each lap.
Well, one rider down in each team and there's nothing between them. It's going in the favour of Team Wales. What can Team Breeze do in the final leg? So it'll be down to against one. Still nothing in it, 100 or 200ths of a second. So it's going to come down to the throw in the end. Still nothing. It finishes with Team Wales, a 40. It doesn't finish yet. The gun went off. I don't know what happened there, but 48.358. And second place will go to Team Breeze. So Team Wales winning that one with a 48.358, 0.674. So Wales do it in the team pursuit, and they are doing it in the team sprint.
Welsh flag has been miraculously produced from the track centre and be handed to the victorious team to parade around the track.
This is the first time we've kind of had spectators back in the velodrome, and I think for some of the competitors that have either been completely away from racing or indeed have had to race with 0 spectators. This makes these championships even more special, and you can just see these proud moments for these local riders. Of course, we're over in Wales at the Geraint Thomas Velodrome, and since '95, again for anyone just tuning in, we've had the Nationals at Manchester, the same venue every single year, so point of difference coming over to the Welsh venue and having this crowd support. Just look at that moment. It's really, really special, and we didn't have any national championships at all on the track last year, meaning some of these riders have had 2 years before coming and showing here and going for these gold medals and these podium positions, and some very young talent. 2 years is a very long time, and we're seeing some very new names just absolutely springing onto the scene, and ones not to forget.
Well, that was very close, just similar to the men's team pursuits. So Team Wales takes the gold medal, 48.353. Team Breeze in silver, 49.035, with Team Scotland's 48.918 in the bronze medal position. Ready for the points race?
I love a points race. Is there anything I haven't said I love so far? Yeah, we've got the women's field lining up for the points race final, and we were looking earlier in the day whether we would have qualification rounds as we did for the scratch yesterday. We had 2 heats of scratch race with riders being eliminated, so to speak, as we go, but due to COVID and a few riders being off ill, we had a little bit of a depleted field, meaning that all these riders are going straight through to this final, and a very handy field it is indeed. We're expecting a huge level of competition, and you never know how these bunch races are going to go, and well, again, without giving too much away, if you haven't seen yesterday's action, because we do urge you to go back and look at those highlights, it was spectacular and very unexpected in part. We can't predict what's going to happen, but I would imagine we're about to see a very animated race indeed. We'll take you through some of the riders and some of the favourites in just a moment, as the riders anticipate the start of the next bunch race. And we've seen so many individual events, so many races against the clock, as we see Team Breeze give Team Wales a hug there, as Millie Tanner. And we love a bunch race. It's fast and furious.
So in this race we have Ella Barnwell, Cams Basso, Keirin Carlton, Liv CC, Nia Evans, Team Hoop, Francesca Hall, Loughborough Lighting, Georgia Hillard, Team Boom Pods, Jenny Hall, Techers, Kinga Ingram, Story Racing, Ella Jamieson, Liv CC, Amber Junker, VC Laundress, Sophie Langford, Alba Development Team, Maddie Leach, Cams Basso, Sophie Lewis, Cams Basso, Grace Lister, Brother UK, Matilda McKibben, Liv CC, Anna Morris, Team Wales, Flora Perkins, LeCol Wahoo, Holly Ramsey, Brother UK, Kate Richardson, Alba Development Team, Alwyn Roberts, Liv CC, Isabel Sharp, Brother UK, Elid Shaw, 240, Everyone Active, Victoria Smith, Alba Development Racing Team, and Emily Tillett of Loughborough Lighting.
So in the blue there you can see the Alba Development Team, and I mean it says it on the tin, but this is a new team for this year, and developing talent they are. It's so important that we see the nurturing of new riders coming through, but there's a wealth of experience in here. Just seeing Sophie Langford, a rider we've mentioned a couple of times because she's been here every day fighting hard, riding very, very well, but she's an interesting rider in terms of the approach she gives it to aerodynamics when she's against the clock, and she's got a huge vast level of experience. But we'll pick out some of these kits for you as we go on. We've got strength in numbers, although an individual competition, it's worth saying. Cams Basso out in force in the yellow back, red sleeves and black shorts there, ones to look out for. Nia Evans will be in the colours of Hoob, and that is sort of dark red top fading into black. We've got Jenny Hull of Techers CC on the front, a team run by a friend of mine, Alec Briggs. Very wonderful, colourful kit to spot in the peloton, which is what we like when there's a lot of kits that look very similar.
But this is 20 kilometres, 80 laps of the track, and the team of Cams Basso Can they do it again? They did it yesterday in the scratch race, and a very exciting finish in that one. So the race has now started, and there will be sprints every 10 laps, 5, 3, 2 and 1, with double points on the final sprint. The riders just roll around the track. Francesca Hall in the black just moves up. And will we see anybody trying to take these laps? Will it come down to the sprints? Matilda McKibben just pulls over. It's a very steady start to the women's points race.
Yes, the points race is a tactical race. Every rider will have their own strength.
So Ella Barnwell for Cams Basso is pulling up the track. They have 3 riders in this event. Also 3 riders in here for the Scottish Alba Development Racing Team. In red, Anna Morris moves up, medalist in the pursuit. Nia Evans towards the front as well. So far a really steady start to this race. Ellie Jameson, Liv CC pulls up. Very steady start, Rebecca.
Yeah, you never know what to expect, do you? Because some people come in with a plan to go for an absolute flyer from the gun and try essentially to gain a lap and get that 20 points. We've got 74 to go. We haven't seen anyone go straight off the front, so that clearly wasn't anyone's plan. But yeah, just a calm start, a little bit different to perhaps some of the racing we saw yesterday.
So it might hot up a little bit. There's 3 laps to the next sprints. Again, Ella Barnwell for Cams Basso towards the front. Next time round there will be 2 laps to go. They may start winding it up for the first sprints. We saw the men's points race yesterday. Important to get points as soon as possible. Anna Morris for Team Wales in the red just pulling up. Next time round there will be the bell. Nia Evans at the bottom of the track. She just moves up, puts herself in a position. She takes over the lead. Ella Barnwell is there for Cams Basso, but it's Nia Evans that wants to put the points on the boards as soon as possible. She's got Ella Barnwell in second place there. Nia Evans comes into the finishing straight. Looks as if she'll take the 5 points. She does. So 3 points to Ella Barnwell. It looks like Grace Lister for Brother UK takes the 2 points. So Nia Evans continues with that effort. Ella Barnwell now at the front. So a good start from the Scots, Nia Evans. So it settles down again. And Nia Evans taking those 5 points. In fact, it was Sophie Lewis, 111 instead of 11 that took the 3 points. Grace Lister. A couple of riders on the attack now.
Yeah, so just confirmation of where it sits after that first all-important sprint after 10 laps. It's Nia Evans with 5 points, Sophie Lewis with 3, Grace Lister with 2, and taking 1 was Flora Perkins there. And we wondered if anyone would try and go for flyers trying to take laps. You've got to do it as quickly as possible, earlier on in the race if possible, and we're seeing the moves come now after that first sprint.
Yeah, this is Maddie Leach in the Cams Basso outfit. Ailid Shaw for 240 in the green. And they have a few metres on the peloton. So the first 2 attackers, Ailid Shaw in the green, Maddie Leach of Cam's Basso.
Because what you don't want, and this is very easy for me to say from the commentary position, is to dangle out for too long, which is why you've just got to be utterly committed to a move and hope that you've got the right company with you. It can be a lonely place gaining a lap on your own, and you want to do it as quickly as possible in the best company that you can take with you.
So still both riders with 3 laps to go to the sprints. The second sprint of the day. Can they hang on? A reaction at the front of the peloton. It looks as if they may be caught before this next sprint. So the effort of the two in front coming to nothing.
And you need to make a quick decision as to whether to go back and be absorbed by the bunch or to keep going with that effort. You don't want to sap energy and it not pay off.
So 1 lap. Now next, and Cam's Basso have now got 3 riders towards the front. They're looking to take maximum points. Barnwell is leading this one out. She looks round, sees her teammates round the outside. She's got some competition. So Barnwell coming up, looks like she will take those 5 points, but will she? No, she doesn't. It's the Techers rider, Jenny Hall, that takes that one. So Jenny Hall taking the 5 points there. As we see a slight split in the bunch after that sprint. Always a good time to go on the attack after the sprints, Rebecca.
Yeah, a really good move from Jenny Hull there from Tekka CC. I'll bring you confirmation of what that's done to the overall standings. That's Nia Evans still leading the way with 5 points. Jenny Hull also on 5 though. Ella Barnwell 3, Sophie Lewis 3, Sophie Langford, who we've mentioned a few times 2, Grace Sister 2, Laura Perkins 2, and currently, as you can see, everyone all on 1 lap.
So Anna Morris for Wales in reds just swings up. It seems to be the tactic: sprints, recover, sprint, recover. Are we going to see someone try to take a lap?
Yeah, and as you said briefly a minute ago, Brian, the moment to try and go is when people have just started to sit up after a sprint effort. Catch people surprised, catch people napping, take the right time to go. All you need is a few people to not take it on.
Danger moment now as we see the Isabel Sharp, her brother UK, going, but Nia Evans going with her. So alarm bells must be ringing. Nia Evans, one of the favourites here. So brother UK have got a rider down the track, but it's Nia Evans. They join forces, and immediately they are already gaining time on the peloton. So Nia Evans comes through. Brother UK have got Isabel Sharp. The chase now down also from Grace Lister from Brother UK, but sitting up in the peloton, and it looks as if Nia Evans, she finished in the bronze medal position in the scratch race, wants to make amends, and fortunately Isabel Sharp cannot stay with her. She's really struggling. They've almost got half a lap, and Isabel Sharp has been distanced now 4, 5, 6 bike lengths, and now Nia Evans is on her own. She's half a lap up. Can she make it? If she does make it, she gets 20 points. She's losing Victoria Isabel Sharp. So Isabel Sharp, her brother UK, after making the initial effort, cannot stay with the Flying Scots. Nia Evans still only half a lap up. 2 laps to go to the next sprint. So it looks like definitely she'll take another 5 points. Can the brother UK rider of Isabel Sharp hang on? Now Tekker's rider Jenny Hall comes to the front. She realises the danger. The bell goes, and it's Nia Evans on her own, still followed by Isabel Sharp. So it looks as if like Isabel Sharp will stay for the 3 points, but Nia Evans getting ever so close. The bunch led now by Sophie Lewis. She's looking for the minor points. So Nia Evans takes another 5 points. 50 laps to go. Now we have Isabel Sharp for Brother UK taking the 3 points at the front of the bunch. It is Sophie Lewis that takes the 2 points just in front of, I think it was Tekers again up there with Jenny Hall. We'll get confirmation from Rebecca very, very soon, but Nia Evans is getting ever so close to the back of this peloton now. Can she make it? It looks as if she is. She could be putting another 20 points onto her tally. 48 points to go. She's just coming up less than 20 metres now. The bunch settling down, almost up to the back of the bunch, and Nia Evans looks like, and she will take her lap, so she adds another 20 points to her tally, Rebecca.
That will take her up now to 30 points, 20 points for the lap gain, and she'd already got her tally up to 10 there by taking the 5 points on the line before she made contact, which is what we always say is the absolute dream.
So 46 laps to go. Everybody will know, they'll look at the scoreboard, they'll realise that Nia Evans has got a really strong lead in this competition. What can they do to come back? Now is the time, now that Nia Evans has made that effort, now is the time, if you want to try and win this championship, is trying to get a lap yourself, and this is what we're getting. Jenny Hall from Tecker CC has now decided to go down the track, but with Nia Evans just looking around, this will be our opportunity to try and recover. So Nia Evans trying to recover from that effort, and Jenny Hall trying to take advantage here, but nobody went with her, so she's going to have to do it on her own. Can she? That's the question. But it's Brother UK yet again leading the peloton with Grace Lister. She moves up, and Jenny Hall is left on her own. Can she gain this lap? It's going to be a difficult one because she isn't being given much rope. She would probably have liked maybe 2 or 3 riders with her to maybe to take this lap, Rebecca.
Yeah, I mean, I would certainly be looking around thinking, please let me have some company, let somebody come across with me. But it's a very lonely place to be as a rider on your own, but she's decided that she's got this in the tank. This is the time.
And Hall, they still do have a slender advantage. Evans already taken a lap. So if Hall and Morris can take a lap, it's in their best interest to take a lap, then they will go into the definite medal positions. So it's in their best interest to work. Nia Evans can just go with them, but she's just kind of placing everything. But you would think that if Morris and Jenny Hall, she's already sitting, I think, in second place, but to cement that medal position, all these 3 riders would work together.
Exactly, and let's just confirm that points tally, because the only rider with 18 laps to go, having gained a lap, is Nia Evans, so she currently sits with 35 points. As you say, in the silver medal position currently is Jenny Hull of Tecker CC with 20 points, and Sophie Lewis currently sits in third with 8. And of course, it's worth reminding people there's double points on the line, but at this stage in the race, going for a lap, well, it gets slimmer and slimmer as a chance.
Well, the first 2 riders in the competition, Nia Evans and Jenny Hall, they're already in that gold and silver position, but the person that can benefit the most is Morris from Wales. Unfortunately for Cams Basso, they do have a rider up there in the bronze medal position for the moment. The bunch is easing, so it does look as if Morris for Wales is going to be putting herself into the contention for the bronze medal. So Nia Evans looks as if she'll take another lap. Jenny Hall will take that lap. She's done it the hard way in this race, but Wales could be in a position to take a medal out of this with Morris. They're in the same straight, only a matter of about 10 metres behind as soon as they make that junction, but possibly a mistake from Cams Basso not to put a rider there. So 14 laps to go. The junction still not been made yet. Nia Evans, Jenny Hall and Anna Morris, but I'm sure it's only a matter of time now until all 3 take a lap. Morris and Hall will take their first, Nia Evans their second, so 13 laps to go this time. They don't seem that concerned for the moment. They seem to be sitting off the back. Are they waiting? Are they playing the game of waiting for this? I think they are.
What do you reckon?
They are. They're
Nia
waiting.
Evans easing off for those
points.
Morris.
Look at Morris. They don't want to take the lap. 2 laps to go. It's not done. They're backpedaling.
Oh.
They're backpedaling. This is the bell lap now. Morris, they decided that they want to take the points, so Nia Evans in front, Jenny Hall, the acceleration, but they have to be careful because if they take the lap coming down the straight now, then they will not take the sprint, and they're just coming up. So Nia Evans wins that sprint, Morris and Jenny Hall, and now they take the lap. So
superb.
2 laps taken from Nia Evans, 1 from Morris, and Jenny Hall will take her lap, but she has amassed so many points. So for the moment, that looks as if Morris may have catapulted her way up to the bronze medal position.
Yes, it will have done. We'll wait for official confirmation. But making contact with the back of the group and backing off to get the maximum points before. I'm not sure how many times I've seen that played to perfection. And then you saw Nia Evans then, right, I actually got to start winding this up now, but not too much, because I want to get those points. Oh my goodness, so Nia Evans currently leading the way with 2 laps gained, 60 points, that tallies for her. Jenny Hull in second with 1 lap, 42 points. Anna Morris, as you say, that leapfrogged her with that trio, formidable trio, to 26 points and a lap gain.
Well, we do have an attack off the front of the peloton, but I think 6 laps to go. It does look as if the medals are already taken, but you can see that Francesca Hall from Loughborough in the black, she's decided that, you know, she wants to try and take something out this race, but with an overall of 60 points, 42 to second and 26 with maximum 10 points in the sprint at the end. I don't think that will change the medal positions, and I think they'll be happy with that situation. I think it's going to come down to bragging rights in the end for 4th, 5th, 6th, where you want to finish in this national championships. As we say that, Morris decides, well, 4 laps to go, I'm going to try and do something for Wales. So 2 out the front with Grace Lister. An attack off the front of the peloton in the green again. Elid Shaw, she was active right from the start of this. So Grace Lister there for Brother UK leading this race. Francesca Hall from Loughborough Lighting. And then in the green comes Elid Shaw.
And even with double points on the line, the 4th place rider, Sophie Lewis, has 8 points. So even if she took maximum points on the line, she can't get near Anna Morris in 3rd now.
So realistically, anybody that, you know, takes the maximum points at the end could be finishing in 4th, but you have to say that the medals have been taken in this race already. So 2 laps to go, and this time round there will be 1 lap to go. And it looks like Lister and Francesca Hall are going to hang on for these points, but Nia Evans has decided she wants to put on a show. She's coming down the back straight, but it does look as if Francesca Hall is going to hold this one off. She does, she takes it, Francesca Hall, but in 3rd place there, Nia Evans, and she will be the new points race national champion. What a dominating ride by Nia Evans there, hand in the air. Took 2 laps, the only rider to take 2 laps in this points race. But I have to say that Anna Morris, she took a nice bronze medal there for Wales, but Jenny Hall, she was on fire there. She was out for most of the race, managed to take the lap and takes a very creditable silver medal.
What a performance from our podium finishers there. Nia Evans taking the gold, taking the national jersey with 2 laps gained. She gained the lap, she recovered, she was the only person to do 2, and she just policed absolutely everything. But not only that, as she waves to the crowds, she put on a show right to the end. But yes, Jenny Hull, she tried to go for that lap. She was out there for a long time. She came back, she went again. She ended up with a lap gain, 42 points. A brilliant ride from the Tekka CC rider, and then capping off that podium was Anna Morris, who again never gave up belief, went at the right time. That trio was just so solid, and she finishes with the bronze medal position, 1 lap gained, meaning 26 points.
And also the late attack there from Francesca Hall. She managed to take the 10 points, which catapulted her into fourth place. That's all they could do. They couldn't do anything about the gold, silver and bronze coming into that final sprint. But yeah, Nia Evans, she was dominant. I think she might have been a little bit disappointed. Yesterday she did try to win the scratch race. She got a medal from that. She came bouncing back today as a real trooper and dominated that points race.
We do see that, don't we, when someone's had a result they're not too happy with, and you know, she's humble. She was all smiles on the podium yesterday, but we knew she meant business when she came in, and I think she wanted to leave absolutely nothing to chance, and not only that, as we saw, she just wanted to dominate. Look at that result.
Nia Evans takes the gold medal with 64 points, Jenny Hall 42, and Anna Morris 26 points. Gold, silver and bronze, and you really have to say that Morris, Hall and Evans, they were pretty dominant throughout. Evans taking the 2 laps, Hall and Morris with her taking the 1, and I think we said it at the time, it's in all their best interest to go and try and take that lap together. 3 of the strongest riders in the race.
Those are the people you want to look around and see you have for company, aren't they? And it's worth noting that if you've just joined the coverage, that Jenny Hull has been piloting as well in the para events over the weekend. So yeah, a phenomenal competitor, and oh my goodness, I mean the absolute strength that she just displayed was second to none.
Another good points race. Enjoyed the one yesterday and another one today.
Exciting, wasn't it? Very exciting.
So we're just going to take a little break and go to a medal ceremony. Jenny Hall, she did ride tremendously well. To do what she did in this race, you know, to be out front, try and take that lap.
Ceremony for the 2022 British Cycling National Track Championships, Women's Team Sprint.
So the women's team sprint medal ceremony.
And jersey will be presented by Councillor Roger Jeffers, Deputy Leader of Newport City Council. Winners of the bronze medal, Team Scotland, Laura Bell.
So the bronze medal going to Team Scotland of Lauren Bell, Iona Moyer, Lucia Steele and Ellie Stone.
Winners of the silver medal, Team Breeze, Sophie Capewell, Blaine Ridge Davis, Millicent Tanner.
And the silver medal going to Sophie Capewell, Blaine Ridge Davis and Millie Tanner of Team Breeze. But the gold medal going to Team Wales, which will be popular. Rhian Edmonds, Emma Finnegan and Laurie Thomas. So another gold medal for Wales. Although a couple of them actually are on the British Cycling Academy under that umbrella, of course, and rightly so. Some really talented young athletes, especially sprinters.
And I think for me, women's sprinting has always been a bit of a passion of mine, and to see the new wave coming through, because we've seen the greats of the sport. We were talking about Victoria Pendleton earlier, but actually to see people come through and give us something to talk about, it's a special part of history.
And just to explain for those watching, you can see that Team Wales used 3 throughout the competition. Team Breeze used 3, but Scotland used 4. They allowed Lucia Steele to do the 500 metres today. So you're allowed to enter 4 riders and 3 rides each. And if you do get a ride in the whatever rounds, and the team goes on to get a medal, you get one of those medals.
Yes, absolutely right. And yeah, you often see reserve riders or a composition of riders that change throughout heats and finals, and yeah, you'll see them all on the podium at the end of the day if they achieve a medal. So no, your eyes don't deceive you. They didn't put 4 on the track at the same time, but you have seen this composition of riders in different guises throughout the day.
The thing is, they all know each other. So we're going to go down to the infield. Alistair is waiting, and we're going to hear from the new champions. And you know, I think 1 or 2 of them have been here before. Rhian Edmonds, also the individual sprints. So let's hear from the women's team sprint gold medalists.
Congratulations, guys. Well done.
Thank you.
The gun went off a bit early there. Didn't affect you, did it?
Yeah, I was kind of like, I just got to keep going. I'm nearly there. Yeah, it was a really good ride from us all, and we were really happy to get a PB in every ride. And yeah, it's just nice to get this jersey. So yeah.
Congratulations. Well, it couldn't really go any better. Did the race pan out exactly how you wanted it to?
Yeah, I think I had a good start and managed to gap rush on low, was really, really good. And then, yeah, Emma just came flying through underneath me and it was brilliant.
Amazing. And another win for Wales here in Newport. How good is it to win on the home soil, and how much does the support help you guys?
It's absolutely insane. Like, the crowd has been wicked all weekend, and yeah, it's just really exciting to be able to come here, win, and yeah, it's amazing.
They should have the national champs in Newport every year, should they?
100%. Yeah.
Congratulations, guys. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. I think we should have the national champs in Scotland next year. What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there's a lot of riders who've been successful over the last 3 or 4 days going to be campaigning for it to always be here at Newport, because it's working out mightily finely for them.
Yeah, just Alice's question there with the gun going off. It threw me as well.
Yeah.
The gun got off and they still had half a lap to go. So
yeah, these things happen when you're live, and yeah, they kept their head down and kept going, but we were a bit confused there for a moment.
So moving on to the keirin final. This is for the minor places, the 7th to 12th. We have James Bunting, Team Inspired, Jack Cruden, Glasgow Track, Finn Harrods, BC member, Ryan Lakeworth, SES Racing, Leadingham Horn, Black Line, and Roper Black Line. So a couple from the same team in here. Behind the bike you have Leadingham Horn. And then the Glasgow rider is Cruden. We move back to the seconds of the Black Line riders, Roper, SES Lakeworth. BC member is Harrod, all in black. Team Inspired rider have Bunting. So this is for the minor places, 7 to 12.
Yeah, riders can ride as a BC private member, can't they? And they can come and turn up and qualify for the national championships, and that's why you'll see, yeah, BC member under some of the names.
So the next lap, the Derny will pull onto the apron of the track. Still Leadingham Horn, Black Line, Cruden in second place. The Derny pulls off. Harrod thinking about it, but it's Roper that goes down, goes for a long one. No big reaction from Leadingham Horn, so Roper with his teammates, a gap in front. So Roper going the long way, Leadingham Horn, Cruden, and then Harrods in the black. Still Roper in the front, coming up to the bell. Leadingham Horn looking at this one, closing down on his teammate now. Leadingham Horn over the top, Cruden coming. Harrods in the black, but it's going to be Leadingham Horn from Cruden. So 5th place goes to Leadingham Horn. Cruden from Glasgow will take eight spots. I think a lot of these riders coming to these championships possibly have their eyes on, maybe with the talent that we've got here, top 10. You know, it's a good ride there from Bike Line. Roper went first, Leadingham Hall just holding back and punching into that air, but sometimes you have to be kind of realistic. A top 10 performance here at National Champs with this sort of quality in the keirin is a good result.
Yeah. And it is all about that context, isn't it? When you look around you, and the, you know, the calibre of riding in this country is so high, and yeah, people come in with individual objectives here, and yeah, I think Roper took a chance there and had a big gap, but went very far out.
There is in 7th place Harry Leadingham Horn, 8th place Jack Cruden, 9th place, it's a bit quick, was Finn Harrods. James Bunting will take 10th, 11th Ryan Lakeworth, and Matthew Roper will be in 12th place.
Well, your green finale is interrupted, I believe, by Team Terminator.
Yeah, I'll let you do this one. But you got to remember, we heard from Ellie Stone, she's got work tomorrow. She's working for Tesco. No funding, and Same can be said about some of the riders that are finishing top 10 there. They might have work to go tomorrow, so that's what we're having to deal with. So, pick the bones out of this one. We have the final for the gold medal. Jack Carling from Team Inspired. We have Daniel Cooper from Team Terminator. Hayden Norris from Team Inspired. Matt Rotherham from Sports City. Joe Truman, Team Inspired, and Hamish Turnbull from Inspired. So 4 riders from Inspired, 1 from Team Terminator and 1 from Sports City. This is an individual championship, no teamwork, and I think everybody in this final will want to win this gold medal.
The fight is on, is very, very much on. And if you look at Team Inspired in the identical green skin suits, they've made it through all the way to the finals, the major finals of the sprint competition. They've won the team sprint. Jack Carlin's won individually, and they are all in this Keirin final. Also in slightly different green is Matthew Rotherham. But I have to say that Daniel Cooper, what a gutsy ride he came through with in the last heat. So this is going to be a very dicey and spicy final.
Yeah, on the bike is Joe Truman, Matt Rotherham. Not a lot of looking, a bit more experience here, not a lot of looking behind. They don't have to take that risk. We saw an incident in one of the heats, so they're just happy. They'll know that nobody's going to pass the Derny, because you can't do that. They'll just wait until the next lap. They'll start to, down the back straight now, they'll start to look behind to see if anybody is coming. Rotherham looks, just a quick glance. Truman at the front. Cooper up there in 3rd place. And how are the 3 riders from Inspired? What are they going to do at the back? Truman always likes to take this one from the fronts. A lot of looking behind now. Rotherham. I have to feel that Rotherham and Jack Carling could be the favourites, but Jack Carling just has to watch here. These teammates don't kind of block him round. There's a movement at the back. Jack Carling comes over the top. He doesn't want to wait. He wants to take this one on. 2 laps to go. Rotherham chases him. Truman on the wheel. So Carling, Truman and Rotherham. So Jack Carling not totally committing now. Rotherham goes down the outside. He comes now with power. So Carling wants to hold the bottom line. So it's Carling, Rotherham round the outside. Can he do it down the back straight? It's still Carling in the bottom. Rotherham. Carling, Rotherham. Rotherham's not got the legs, I don't think. Carling comes down the finishing straight. He takes the gold medal. Jack Carling, I measured performance there. He just came up with 2 laps to go, took it on from the front, didn't want to play any games. Rotherham had to, he's just banging his head there. He knows he made a mistake, but he just kind of didn't have the legs in the end. Tried to come round, tried to go toe-to-toe with Carling, and unfortunately gets pushed out the medal. So it's a 1-2-3 for Team Inspired, but that was just take it on from the front, pass me if you can, and nobody did.
Nobody did. And we said earlier in the day we really wanted to see Matt Rotherham go head-to-head with Jack Carling, and that is what we got to see. And Matt Rotherham threw everything at that, you know, it's fair to say. And he went straight to Jack Carling to pat him on the back and give him a congratulations. What mighty competitors. Are just brilliant for that.
Well, Jack Carling, you saw him there, knocked out of the park. Joseph Truman in 2nd place, Hamish Turnbull in 3rd, 1-2-3 for Team Inspired. Matt Rotherham was there in 4th place, Daniel Cooper, Hayden Norris. You just have to feel for Matt Rotherham. Possibly the wrong thing to do is go toe-to-toe around the wrong way with, you know, Jack Carling. Should have maybe held back a little bit and come up and maybe secured that medal, but it's these split-second decisions. But yeah, Jack Carling, a worthy winner, and now doubles up in these championships.
Well, he's had a superb few days here at the British National Championships, and he comes in on the back of course, taking 2 medals out at the Olympic Games. And you know, it was very different for them at this Olympics. They couldn't have any crowds in the venue, so yeah, a very, very challenging and different Olympic Games, but to come back to the crowds here at the National Championships over in Wales, well, he certainly played to the crowds, and he certainly executed what we knew he could do on paper to perfection.
So another pause in proceedings as we will go to a medal ceremony soon. And that will be for the women's points race. Dominant display by Nia Evans.
Medal ceremony for the 2022 British Cycling National Track Championships, women's points race. The medals and the jersey will be presented by Danielle Every, Director of Delivery, British Cycling. Winner of the bronze medal representing Team Wales.
The bronze medal going to Team Wales with Anna Morris. She took a lap with Nia Evans and Jenny Hall. And Jenny Hall from Teckers CC will take that silver medal out front for many, many laps, taking the sprint points and eventually taking that lap she wanted earlier on in the race. But a dominant performance from the Scots Nia Evans of Team Hoop, taking the 2 laps. She is the 2022 National Women's Points Race Champion. A rider from Langbank in Scotland in the West Coast. So all 3 of these riders combining together to take that lap that resulted in all 3 of them taking the medals, but it was Nia Evans taking the 2 laps that won her that gold medal. A valiant performance from Jenny Hall gives her the silver. Anna Morris battled away as well. She gets another medal in these championships for Wales. So as they exit the stage, we will soon hear from our new champion, Nia Evans. Possibly disappointed after the scratch race yesterday, but made amends for it today in the points race. And here's your champion, Nia Evans.
Congratulations, Nia, well done. It was a bit of a steady start and then you rode away halfway through and never looked back. How did the race pan out for you?
Yeah, really pleased. I went in with the plan of don't go too hard too soon, ride into it a little bit, and I kind of jokingly said I want to get 2 laps. So yeah, achieved it.
Great, well done. And what's the next focus for you from here?
We've got the Omnium and Madison Nationals beginning of April, and then the Nations Cup in Glasgow, and then commies. So yeah, quite a lot for the track season coming up.
Great. First of all, time to reflect on a successful week here. Is it gone how you wanted?
Yeah, the scratch race, a little bit disappointed, but I think, you know, it went pretty well. Just a tiny bit rusty of it. It was the first race of the, first bunch race of the year. But yeah, overall delighted with how it's gone. Yeah, the IP, IPs are never fun, but I was glad to get that one over and done with.
Great, well done. Congratulations. Enjoy the rest of the season.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, just a quick kind of follow-on question.
Well, she went out there looking for 2 laps, and she took 2 laps.
Interesting what you're saying there about first bunch race back and being a bit rusty, but I'm sure most people would want to be able to put a performance in like that on a rusty week. So yeah, she came out fighting for that points race today.
So we're ever closer to the final event
So just lining up for the final events, final competition.
Can you believe it? Final race of these championships. It's just been so back-to-back, and thanks to everyone who's joined us over the last 3 days. We had Thursday's qualification rounds that saw people that weren't automatically seeded on previous results have an opportunity to ride their way through to the subsequent events. But yeah, it's been absolutely jam-packed.
So this is the men's scratch race final. 80 laps of the track. Ross Birrell, team inspired. Andrew Brinkley, OVB. Jack Bruff, team inspired. Matthew Burke, LBC Racing. Alex Franks, VC Londres. Josh Giddings, team inspired. Dylan Hicks, Backstead Bike Performance. Noah Hobbs, Tecker CC. Joe Holt, Team Wales. Harvey McNaughton, Oscar Nelson Julian, Thomas Patterson, William Peretz, Cameron Richardson, Owen Roberts, Will Roberts, Jack Rutkin-Gray, Tom Sharples, Tim Shorman, Will Smith, Jed Smithson, Joshua Tarling, Will Tidwell and Callum Twelves. A bit of speed already in the group, stretched out, and this should be a fast race.
I was going to say, am I going to be sat here doing a tally of laps taken or not? How's this one going to play out?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Coming already.
Well, it was Andrew Brinkley of OVB. It was the first rider to have a tentative look, and I think this will definitely be a fast race. Whether anybody is allowed or can take a lap, that's another question.
Well, that's the point. People want to take a lap. Are they going to be allowed? Oscar Nilsson Julian of Team Inspired actually took a lap, didn't he, earlier on in qualification rounds? We had 2 heat races to get whittled down to the bunch we're seeing now. But he went for the lap in qualification.
Now, this seems to have eased a little bit, bunching up around the bankings. So, longish race this, already 4 laps in, 1 kilometre. Still at the front there, Matthew Burke of LBC Racing just swings up the track. Riders just coming through, taking that short turn and moving up. Josh Tarling, Team Inspired now towards the front. Jack Rutkin-Gray. The race just bowling along. It's all about the first across the line, takes the gold medal. Second will take silver. Wales at the front with Joe Holt. And this is just slowly winding up. A lot of these riders riding into it. You heard from Nia Evans there in an interview. She started the points race just kind of rolling into it, then she set it alight. Team Inspired in the green have got, looks like 6 riders in this one.
You wonder which is more stressful of the bunch races sometimes in terms of points or scratch, because a points race, although the pressure is very much on and there's different elements to contend with, you're constantly focusing on working out where you are in the standings as much as we are. Sometimes the riders don't know if somebody's dangling off the front or managed to gain a lap or dropped out of the race, in fact, in some situations. So
that was Oscar Nelson Julian. He was the rider that took the lap in qualifying to guarantee his place in the final here. And now we see Ross Birrell. Wales having 5 representatives, possibly 6. It's been a good day for them so far. And Oscar Nelson Julian again he seems to be the person that really wanted. He was so exciting in the points race yesterday, trying to do something, takes a lap, and definitely up for this one. Stretched out a little bit now by Cameron Richardson.
He's up for it, and you wonder, in taking a lap in qualification, what the plan was there. Was it to, you know, a statement of intent? Was it to show the form he's in? He had a great ride, as you say, yesterday. Or was it the fact he just didn't want to leave it to chance, and he had an opportunity and he went and it was within him? But who knows? But yeah, obviously on very fine form, and a rider that did start with BC Londres, who I mentioned earlier on today.
So again, Holt towards the front, nobody taking early advantage. And a lot of these riders, Rebecca, that don't have a really fast sprint at the end will want to try and do something before the final.
Yeah, that's I started to make that point, and I admit I never finished it. I was just talking about the different elements of these things, because actually when a points race can be very frantic, a scratch race, the pressure is on because only one rider can make it across the line first, so you can't be points tallying and amending things as you go. You've just got to be first over the line, and for some people, they don't want it to lull in action and then come together for a bunch sprint. They want to take any opportunity they can to rip it to shreds, or indeed ideally go for that lap. But you've got to pick your time. With a field like this, you've got to do it quickly. You've got to do it when you have an opportunity to, you know, put the others into difficulty.
Yeah, bit of a concerted effort now. Speed then pushed out a little bit in the front. A crash in the back. Oh, nasty one. Oh, a few riders down there. Nasty crash there. Unfortunately, that looked a bad one. All riders back on their feet. They're just neutralising this for the moment. So this race will be neutralised. The riders have a few laps if they want to continue in this race, Rebecca.
Yeah, if the riders, which we always hope, are able to get back up and they've got either a spare bike or their bike's in a condition to get back on, they can get back in the race within a few laps. We don't always see the race moved up and neutralised, but safety is absolutely key here, and you could see there were a couple of bikes on the Côte d'Azur, and until the track's absolutely clear.
Just watch it there, it was just outside our picture there. I just saw the rider touch the wheel and go down, and this is the kind of carnage afterwards. A lot of riders involved there. I think this might be, is that Joe Holt?
Looks like Joe Holt there, yeah.
So they have got a few laps, and they'll try and repair the track. The riders will stay above the blue line.
Yeah, and we see different scenarios, don't we, Brian? Because sometimes they'll neutralise, and other times the race will just continue, and people might scratch their heads as to why that is. But as I say, safety is absolutely the ultimate goal here, and if there's any bikes or bodies near the track, they can't continue that at pace. And they're just having a little look at the track as well, I can see from here, just to see if they need to make any amends to the surface of the track and make sure that's safe as well.
They have neutralised the race for the moment. So normally the rule is it 5 laps they're allowed out to continue, but if the race is neutralised, then they may have a little bit more time, because normally the race will continue after a crash, but the race has been neutralised because of the damage to the track. They have to make it safe as possible for the race to continue. So this will give some of the riders involved with that incident there to get the repairs done. I'm just looking down to the centre of the track, the Welsh rider there, Will Roberts from Team Wales. He's waiting for assistance.
Yeah, that's Will Roberts that we can see down there. just next to him is Rob Partridge, his coach, chatting to Martin, one of our commissaires. But yeah, these rules might seem ambiguous, but they are there for a reason, of course. And actually, some of these riders, you know, it's one thing if they can get back in, if the race is continuing within 5 laps. But of course, equipment is a massive factor, because looking down here at the state of some of the bikes, you know, there's tubs rolled off, there's damage to carbon, especially the wheels as well. So, you know, they can't obviously safely get back on that bike. So some teams will have a reserve bike waiting in the wings to quickly switch back over if the rider can get back up. But of course, if they haven't got an alternative to ride, unfortunately for some riders, they won't be able to get back in. But you are seeing this race neutralised at the moment, and they were checking the surface of the track.
Well, I'm just looking at an unhappy Will Roberts. He was involved with that crash, but he's walked away now and not happy with the situation. Same with Rob Partridge. He's not allowed to continue. I don't know, they were talking to the main commissaire, Martin Bridgewood, there, so not able to continue, which is disappointing for Wales. And Will Roberts, a rider that has, you know, medalled at the British points race in the past. So yes, one of these unfortunate things. A couple of other riders unfortunately will not continue in this race also. So for the moment, they will ride above the stairs line, or the Madison line, that's the blue line, until the track is deemed 100% rideable. Safety comes first, and it looks as if we're about to start again. Just waiting for the gun. And when that gun is fired, it looks as if they are off racing. So I just noticed that the commissaire has started this race. We're now 49 laps to go, and off they go. So Noah Hobbs for Teckers there. So now, next time, 48 laps to go. The race now continuing after that incident there. Andrew Brinkley of OVB in the dark blue. Wales still have representatives in this scratch race. Josh Tarling, and then Jack Rookin-Gray is now in the front for Team Inspired. As they start to get back to racing and concentrating. Sometimes in an incident like that you can lose your kind of focus in the race.
Yeah, you can just start to see the riders now regaining that focus and getting the race back underway properly, and the commissaire's satisfied that the track surface was safe enough to continue, and the laps now going back down. But yeah, you could just see for a couple of laps people having to regroup, get their head back in it. You know, they've been rolling around for excess laps above the blue. We never want to see a crash happen at all, but yeah, a few riders not able to get back in there. Very disappointing when it's beyond your control, especially.
Well, as Jack Brough has decided that for Team Inspired that he wants to gain and try and take that lap, but unfortunately some strong riding behind. It's going to be very difficult to take a lap on your own. Possibly better to go with a few riders. Closed down by Will Smith of Zappi Jr., and he is brought back very, very quickly, as quick as he went down the track.
And riders will be looking around and deciding as well, is this worth it? Is this move going to pay off? And an experienced rider like that, like Brough, will look around and go, yeah, this is not happening. I'm going to sit up and try again later.
So we're almost halfway through this race of 80 laps. There will be 41 laps to go next time round. The pace still winding itself up. And with the quality that we've got here, Rebecca, it's going to need at least 4 or 5 riders if they want to take a lap.
Yeah, this is the thing, and I was just thinking back to races in the past over the years where every element is different at championships race in the bunch categories, but yeah, sometimes we have some very dominant riders able to have it all their way, but I don't think we see that so much anymore. We very rarely see it, and you need company if you're going to get the better of a field like this.
I think we saw it in the points race, the females points race. Jenny Hall on her own, she eventually took that lap with 2 others, but you know, out there for a lot of that time. Okay, she was taking points, but it's the hard way to do things. So still for me a little bit cagey. Everybody coming through, taking, everybody kind of sitting, waiting. We haven't really seen, apart from one kind of tentative attack, we haven't seen anything, you know, that's just from one rider.
You know, you can see people just, can I string this out? Can I test the legs? Okay, everyone's still there, swing off. Yeah, it can become very cagey indeed.
So still riders doing short turns at the front, swinging up, saving that energy.
And you'll see riders push themselves back in, not too far back often, because when gaps can form, when riders can get ragged towards the end of a long bunch race, and there can be some tired eyes in there, you don't want to be caught at the back. So riders will reassert themselves as the race goes on to keep their position if it's all going to come down to a bunch gallop.
165 there, Jack looking great, swings up. Still nothing breaking the peloton. They just do their turn at pace, swing up. Bit of acceleration now. You can see some gaps starting to appear. Is this the time? 33 laps to go. Some want to continue, some don't. And it's Harvey McNaughton for Team Wales that was there, but it's all come back together. A slight acceleration. Got a sense it's starting to boil up a little bit, starting to simmer away.
Yeah, I think there's some twitches going on as to people wanting to really amp things up now. But yeah, I was talking about people pushing in. We have seen quite a lot of just off and right to the back, which we don't often see with 32 laps to go. But let's see what happens.
Josh Giddings for Team Inspired. It's just very short turns for everybody. The bunch still in one line, but nobody trying to break the elastic.
Here we go.
Yeah. Another tentative move now. This is a little bit more concerted from Will Smith from Zappi Juniors. Will it continue? That's the thing. Team Inspired now, swinging up, everybody else swinging up. And this is Callum 12's, looks like. Swings up again. Nobody wanted to persevere. It has to be the right move, it has to be with the right people. Josh Tarling, the points race winner, coming up, swings over.
And that's what I think can make a scratch race so nervous, isn't it, for people? Because actually you can't just follow absolutely everything or expect everything to go off. It's got to be the right combination, as you say. It's got to be the right move, the right time. You've got to have a bit of luck on your side that people don't just, you know, accelerate straight onto your wheel and drag them all with you. So yeah, it's the right timing. It's everything coming together.
It's when it goes, and are you in the right position? Because if you're dropping down the back and it's going at the front and gaps start to appear, you can just see that a couple of riders are starting to think about it. Oscar Nelson Julian is a person of danger. I think he'll be looking to try and you know, take a lap, but we're getting closer to that kind of 20 laps to go. It's the calm before the storm, isn't it? Because the more they ride round like this, the faster the last few laps are going to be.
Exactly that. Yeah, that's what you'd be thinking, isn't it?
Oh, here we go. Looks like Callum 12's. Very quickly followed by one of the Inspired riders. It's inspired rider, Jack Brough.
See Brough there, just looked over his shoulder. Is there a gap there? Drop back into it.
So another effort down the back straight. It's now nothing, 20 laps to go, 5 kilometres. Josh Tarling on the front. And the laps slowly ticking off. And the way this is going, this looks as if it's going to be a really super fast last 5 or 6 laps. Now we see another move trying to go here.
Yeah, as those laps go down, of course, the opportunities diminish, and that's what's going through everyone's head now. As you said, Brian, if it comes all down to a mass gallop to the line and everyone's together, it makes it a much harder job.
Yeah, you can see a little bit more pace now at the front. Cameron Richardson there. Matthew Burke, LBC. Josh Tarling in 3rd place now in the pink. Somebody going to go over the top, and it's your man 138, also Nelson Julian, but he pulls up. As the laps tick down, 15 laps to go.
Is someone going to use that height? Is somebody going to pounce?
Tarling goes down to the bottom of the track, but no, pulls over. Again, team inspired with numbers and the talent. This time it's Jack Brough that goes. And is this the one? This looks a little bit better now. Jack Brough. Nobody taking it up. 13 laps to go, so the first time the crowd get inspired here. 4 team inspired. Jack Brough with his teammates on the front. Oscar Nelson Julian, and he's almost got half a lap as the crowd get behind him. So the crowd have been waiting. 12 laps to go now. Jack Brough has got half a lap with now his teammates at the front. The pace increasing in the peloton. Jack Brough, the crowd behind him, on his own. 11 laps to go, a long way to go. Can he hold on? He still has half a lap. It's Noah Hobbs for Tekker's come to the front. This is winding up. But they swing up the track. This is good for Jack Brough. Can he hold on? 10 laps to go now. Nobody wanting to commit now in the peloton. The bunch is led by Cameron Richardson, but he pulls up Joshua Tarling. Jack Brough still has almost half a lap. Do you think he can hang on?
It all depends if people want to take on that chase. We're seeing people pull off. And actually, he is still flying out there. 9 laps to go.
I think it's going to be a tough one for him to stay up front here. He's visibly starting to tire now. 8 laps to go. I think the peloton, the bunch behind, are just sitting, waiting. They know that they can pull this half lap back, but nobody wants to do it. It's one of these situations where if nobody does it, he wins. But if they do it, they can still drag him back. He is starting to physically tire. He still has a little bit less now. We see a reaction now from Oscar Nelson Julian, his teammate, who prizes off the front. Looks like Will Perrott is there with them. 2 other inspired riders. This is a concerted effort. Jack Brough is on his own, but I don't think this is going to be his day as we start to see Will Perrott in the white there. He's got 3 teammates with him. This is winding up, 5 laps to go, and we have 4 team inspired riders here with Will Perrott. 2 other team inspired riders trying to come across here, and we get Oscar Julian also with Ross Burrell in there. So Will Perrott riding with him. The other two riders from Team Inspired don't think they're going to make it across there. 4 laps to go at this time. So the last kilometre, Will Perrott is here. They're not pushing on. And Nelson Julian is there. This could be potentially a whitewash here from Team Inspired here, but Will Perrott is the sole rider in amongst them. He swings up the two riders from Team Inspired to try and take him across here, but 165 is also Jack Rookin Gray here. Will Perrott is there in the whites. If he looks behind, he's just going to see a sea of green. And there are 5 riders from Team Inspired with Will Perrott in the whites. Coming up with 2 laps to go. What way is this going to do? I think Perrott's playing this one right. He is the danger man in here. He just swings up, says, look guys, if you want to win this, you have to do it yourselves. And Will Perrott is at the back of them into the final lap now, and this is going to be Team Inspired, but who's going to take this one? It's Will Tidball is at the front. Will Tidball down the banking. It's not going to be Will Perrott, but it's going to be Will Tidball. Can he hold off his teammate coming up to the finish? And it's going to be Will Tidball. It's going to be your new scratch race national champion. We thought Team Inspired were going to do well, and they take the first 3 medals there. Feel sorry for Will Perrott there. He did his best. Wasn't a medal, but he was in the mix in the end, and Tidball takes that. Will Tidball is your new national champion.
Look at that victory salute from Tidball there. Oh my goodness, we were just waiting and waiting and waiting, and Bruff put in just such a fine effort, but as you say, he was tiring, and here's the move right now. Yeah, he started, he was one of the riders that came up, decided that he wanted to take it on and went at the perfect time. This was going into the last lap, down the back straight, sheer power, and his teammate couldn't come to terms with him, hangs on and takes that quite convincingly in the end. So, you know, a good win from Team Inspired. It could have gone anywhere because, you know, all 5 of the riders that were there were very capable of winning, but you have to reach out and grab it sometimes, and Tidball did that. It's not been a bad few days, has it, for Team Inspired, the boys in green? And yeah, just sort of we said, was it all going to come down together? It was a reduced group in the end, albeit very, very dominated by green, and then Tidball made that perfect move in the end.
Well, it did come down to the last 6 laps, I think.
It did.
80 laps of pretty intense action.
So no laps taken. Jack Bruff tried. He got about almost half a lap up, but I always thought that they were sitting, waiting, and you know, he was the carrot, and once they started to wind it up, they wound him in, and Team Inspired really kind of dominated the final few laps.
Yeah, once that quartet had that strength of company, you could just see the acceleration, couldn't you? But it did split things to pieces eventually behind. And Bruff was caught, but, you know, valiant effort. And the last few days has not disappointed. What an exciting range of coverage we've had across the disciplines. And you can just see Team Inspired with Perrott there. Giving us a different jersey in the midst of Team Inspired dominance.
So, a man that thought, one of the men I thought was a danger in this race was Oscar Nelson Julian. He did take 2nd place in the end. Will Tidball takes the gold medal, but Oscar Nelson Julian takes silver. Josh Giddings will take the bronze. Jack Rookin Gray 4th. Will Perrott, well-deserved 5th place there. Ross Burrell was the other rider from Inspired. It takes 6th. So this was the moment. Tidball doing enough just to hang on. And Oscar Nelson Julian close, but no cigar. So if you can just bear with us, we have finished with the racing, but we do have 2 medal ceremonies to come and the interviews, so please stay with us. We will have the men's keirin victory ceremony and the men's scratch.
National Track Championships, men's keirin. The medals and jersey will be presented by Councillor Debbie Harvey, Cabinet Member, Leisure and Culture. Winner of the bronze medal representing Team Inspired.
So Team Inspired with his clean sweep, and the bronze medal goes to Hamish Turnbull.
Winner of the silver medal representing Team Inspired, Joseph Truman.
And the silver medal going to Joe Truman, Team Inspired.
Winner of the gold medal and British
And
Cycling National Track Champion.
the national keirin champion for 2022, Jack Carlin, to go with his sprint title.
Double medalist at the Olympic Games, coming in to the national championships here in Britain, absolutely smashing it out of the park as expected, and once again securing another national title, a national jersey and that gold medal.
Your national championship medalists.
So gold going to the boy from Paisley, Jack Carlin. Joe Truman taking the silver, and Hamish Turnbull completes the clean sweep of the medals for Team Inspired. So just bear with us, we will have a quick interview with Jack, because the next medal ceremony will be the men's scratch race, and they will be trying to cool down, so just bear with us until we hear from the boy from Paisley. And so here's Jack.
Ready to go? Jack, congratulations, well done. The sprint events this weekend have been dominated by Team Inspired. How do you feel about your progress as a team and individually?
Yep, as a team we're looking strong. We've got a couple of younger riders coming through as well, which is promising, and it's looking good towards the Nations Cups next month.
Good stuff. It's always good to beat your mates in the final though, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. We're all here to do, at the end of the day, we love racing and we're here to win, and we were friends off the track and competitors on it, and yeah, we had a good fun this weekend, and there wasn't much pressure going into it, so it was nice to come away with the three titles.
Brilliant, well done, congratulations. What's next for you this season?
We've got Nations Cups in end of April, and then after that Commonwealth Games. So
brilliant, good luck.
Cheers,
we'll all be watching.
Thank you, cheers, mate.
So then, Rebecca, I don't want to be biased here. You know, Jack Carlin, 3 gold medals here at national championships. What do you think his chances are at the Commonwealth Games? You know, there's a lot of Scottish people listening.
And you're not biased at all.
No, I'm not.
You've only mentioned Paisley, well, just a few times a
But I
day.
get paid every time I mention Paisley.
Is that what it is? You got an endorsement Paisley deal. I'm surprised you're not wearing any Paisley. I mean, he's
it's in the pipeline. I've got a jersey coming out soon.
Have you? That
Limited
doesn't
edition.
surprise me. Yeah, love a bit of Paisley. Yeah, I mean, he sort of said, you know, the pressure was off to an extent. A nice position for him to be in, but you know, he did have a fight out there. He didn't have it all his way to float through easily, and yeah, he's in flying form, and I'm really enjoying watching him as a competitor. I really am, especially after the performances that he put in over in the Olympic Games, and then to see him back here in the UK. Yeah, it's been a brilliant 3 days watching him, and he's got it all, hasn't he? He really has.
Apart from coming from Paisley, because there's not that many famous people come from there, but I just love the way he races. He's got absolutely no fear. He's confident.
He's entertaining.
Yeah, and I think that's what sprinting misses sometimes. Taking nothing away from Sir Chris Hoy, is a good friend. Might not be after what I say, but
yeah, where are you going with it?
metronomic. He was just sheer power, but I like the way that Jack sprints. He's prepared to mix it up, try different things, dive down the inside and things like that. Where Sir Chris was just like pure power, get it done, which did him well. To be fair,
it didn't go too badly, did it?
So on to their last medal ceremony. We've just seen it. They've just come off the track after doing 80 laps. The bronze medal goes to Hamish Turnbull. No, it doesn't. The bronze medal goes to Josh Giddings, our Team Inspired. I was looking at the sprint result there. The silver medal goes to Oscar Nelson-Julian. Another clean sweep of Team Inspired. But your new champion is Will Tidwell, who I believe was winning races outside in the speedway track and now come inside to the velodrome and now winning races inside the velodrome. So from outside to in, he's your new scratch race champion, and he did it in style because it could have gone either way with the boys from the Team Inspired.
Yeah, it wasn't a predictable one with a sea of green at the front. Interrupted a little bit, Will Parrott getting in there. But yeah, what a ride from him, and no one was going to sail through that.
So from Speedway to Scratch Race National Champion, Will Tidwell is your champion. Oscar Nelson-Julian, silver medalist, and Josh Giddings, the bronze medal. So in the end it came down to the last 6 laps with Team Inspired the dominant force there with Will Parrott. So we will hear from a new champion and hopefully hear how he's come from being outside on the speedway to winning inside on the velodrome and what that means to him. So here is your new champion, Will Tidwell.
Congratulations, Will. Obviously had a strength in numbers in that race. Were you able to ride it tactically as a team, or was it every man for himself?
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird situation because you're racing against your teammates, and most of the year we all work with each other to win races, and then this time of year everyone's against each other, and you sort of feel a bit weird because it's like fighting your brother. You don't really want to, but you have to. And I think everyone went mano a mano, and that there was no team riding or anything like that. So
well done. And are you happy with your week here at the Champs?
Yeah, I'm happy with today. I think it was good to finish on a high after yesterday. I didn't have the best ride. I've had a hard couple of weeks. I've been in Tour of Rwanda, and I finished out with a stomach bug. So coming here and picking up a gold medal, can't be happier.
Congratulations, and a word for Newport. First time we've had the championships here. Have you enjoyed it here?
Yeah. I think it's been special for me as well because I'm from Devon. So I remember coming 2 hours here for track league every week. So to come back here and win your first senior title, I think it's fitting.
Good, and a shorter trip in the car on the way home too.
Yeah, well, hopefully.
Well, congratulations, good luck for the rest of the season.
Yeah, cheers mate, thank you. Thanks. Cheers guys.
Yeah, well done Will Tidwell in finishing off these National Championships of 2022. Highlights, Rebecca?
I'd take that performance on the back of a stomach bug. It's not bad, is it? It's just so overwhelmingly brilliant to have the championships back, to see all the disciplines out there, and we haven't had any disappointment in the way of action. I've loved every minute.
Well, it's been absolutely brilliant. Thanks for joining us. First time that Newport has hosted the National Championships. Hopefully it'll come back because it's produced some really exciting racing. So again, thanks for spending time with us over the last 3 days. Hope you've had a great weekend, and join us next time for the National Championships next year.